お前はどこまで見えている。俺の死に様か。
Naruto Uzumaki, the seventh Hokage of Konoha. He had no family, no relatives, there was only one job left, to which he devotes all his time, although he had a reason why he was nervous all day today. Hokage-sama, he's awake, said the ninja who entered the office, and without even saying hello, immediately explained the reason for his arrival. Has the condition stabilized? Naruto asked, getting up from his seat. No, it's getting worse. The doctors say that he can last a couple more minutes at most. Naruto didn't need to explain further. And he disappeared from his office in a flash. He appeared immediately in the ward, and looked at the patient lying down, whose eyes were showing joy at the sight of the Hokage. How are you feeling, Sasuke? The blonde man asked, sitting down next to him like a pickled cucumber. Uchiha replied, smiling slightly at him. Yes, your jokes have always been so. Naruto grinned, but suddenly Sasuke coughed up blood sharply. Naruto, I know I don't have long left, and in my whole life I haven't thanked you with anything good, giving only without. Please listen to the end. In this regard I have made a decision. I will thank you in full, and I hope you will not be angry that I took it without your consent. What are you talking about? Goodbye, friend, was the last thing the Hokage heard before he touched his chest. What happened to me? And why is it so dark? Naruto thought, and the next second he was blinded by a bright light. Then he heard something fall, and before his eyes were a trio of Konoha Sanins who were armed and ready to fight against him. Naruto noticed that he was lower than he actually was, after which he saw the coffin lid under his feet. Naruto tried to do something, but he couldn't control his body, even turn his head. Suddenly his body took a step forward by itself, and Naruto understood. Is that Ito-tensei? And you just realized that, he heard in his head, and was glad as never before to this voice. Is that you? Of course I am. How will I continue to live without my beloved Hokage? Biju said with a grin. Do you know what's going on here? Nah, I'd like to find out myself. Suddenly Naruto heard a voice. Yes, I didn't think that I would meet 3 great Sanins at once like this. But I have a special trump card up my sleeve in the form of these 2, the man said, putting his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Uzumaki had enough willpower to look to the left with his eyes and see Mito Uzumaki there. Her eyes were black and her body was just as young, which meant she was also resurrected. The creature, Tsunade, swore looking at the 2 dead Uzumaki. Manipulations and changes in time, as well as disturbing the peace of the deceased. What a shit you are, Jiraiya said this time. For anyone, for me it's a beauty, and a way to assemble an army of the most powerful shinobi that ever existed. We have a problem. I know, I'm working on solving this problem right now, so don't stop me from concentrating. Pray that these 3 will last at least a couple of minutes. And now let's not pull the rubber. Naruto and Mito began to lower their hands to their katanas, and in the next second they disappeared from the trio's field of view. That's the speed, said Jiraiya, and got his foot on the rib so that he crashed into a tree. At that moment, Naruto felt that he had gained the ability to speak, and the next he was already repelling Orochimaru's attacks. When their katanas touched, and the 2 looked at each other, Naruto said, hold on for a couple more minutes, I'm solving this problem. Then he jumped away from Sannin, and collecting several seals with one hand, said Kekiigenkai, boiling wave. A huge wave of boiling water went out of his mouth, and Orochimaru had no choice but to let the summoned snake swallow him. Then Naruto abruptly switched to Jiraiya, and he managed to repel his attack at the last moment. Maybe we'll kill this bastard, and then this technique will dissipate, Tsunade suggested, but suddenly she heard Naruto. It's useless, it's your great-uncle's technique, Ito-tensei. Even if you kill him, the technique won't dissipate. In order to stop us, you need to seal us. Do you have such techniques in stock? Naruto asked, standing on a branch, and saw only shaking his head as an answer. Mito, have you ever taught your granddaughter anything other than medical techniques? Uzumaki asked her, looking at how her severed arm was recovering. And you did well, You were able to partially overcome my technique, said the masked man, looking at Naruto. But I still control you. Naruto started to collect the seals again, and said sharply, magma style, violent lava flow. First flames began to burst out of the ground, and then magma. Dash to Kekiagenkai? Who are you, anyway? Orochimaru asked, looking at Naruto. Oh, yes, I didn't introduce him to you. Meet Naruto Uzumaki, the first and only son of the first and only Uzukichi Uzushio. I remember he destroyed a quarter of the army during the attack on the village, so I don't think there will be any special problems with you. Hands appeared out of the ground, which almost touched the students of the third. Naruto, listen, I will be able to destroy his technique only for a few seconds. This will be your window. At this time you have to collect the seals of the dog lion boar, and then leave the concentration, flow, and amount of chakra to me. Kurama said quickly, while his Jinchuriki was wetting Jiraiya's clones right and left. Got it, thanks Ku. Then Naruto jumped away from him, because of Gamabunta, who stuck the sword in the place where he was standing. Then a chain appeared from Naruto's hand, with which he first tied the toad, and then held a lightning chakra along this chain, almost frying him to death. Naruto did not have time to think about the next steps, as he rushed towards Tsunade with a katana imbued with wind chakra, when Mito was doing the same on the other side. Come on, shouted Naruto in his subconscious, and when he gave him control, Naruto accelerated, and bypassing Tsunade, headed for Mito, whom he was able to capture, and holding his hands behind her head so that she would not move, collected the necessary seals, and mentally said, thank you, and for giving Ku. But instead of saying goodbye in return, Naruto heard, Get Arena Tensei. Naruto felt a sharp pain in his eyes, but after a moment it stopped. He released Mito, who had lost consciousness, but she had a pulse. Carefully placing her on the grass, he looked at the others who were looking at him, and saw that his white eyes turned back to white, the white iris turned blue, and the color of his hair turned from red to yellow. And impossible, you destroyed my technique, and besides, Naruto did not let him finish, because looking at Tsunade, he said, take care of her. Tsunade carefully headed in his direction, but was careful, preparing to retreat if he attacked, but when she passed right by him, he looked at her with a soft smile, but then he took off his smile and looked at the masked man who was preparing to defend himself, but Naruto just folded the seals, bit his finger, and he said, summoning the great gates of Rashomon. 5 gates with faces appeared around the masochist, to which Orochimaru said with surprised eyes, the technique of the first Hokage. But his surprise didn't last long, because of Jiraiya. Orochimaru, there is no time to marvel. He stood on one of the art, and Orochimaru stood on the other and began to fold the seals. Then one released a large jet of fire, and the other of wind, turning the inside of these gates into a real hell. Naruto realized that it was over, scattered the gate, and looking at the charred body, touched the ground, which absorbed the body. Then he approached Mito with Tsunade, and asked, how is she? Sea condition is stable, will recover in a few hours. Tsunade replied, looking askance at Naruto. He smiled, but then, abruptly clutching his head, fell. Well, how are you? I heard Uzumaki's voice, and opening my eyes, I saw a sweetly smiling Uchiha in front of me. And what was that? Genjutsu, as you understand, you have my eyes, which means that you are not subject to Genjutsu. At that moment, Naruto looked closer, and saw that he really did not open his eyes. And what did you do with me then? And what options do you have? Sent me into the past, combining my soul with the soul of another person most identical to me. He suggested, either you're so lucky, or you're so smart. Yes, you're right, but, let's say, the soul of the one in whose body you are now is in the pure world, so the body is completely at your disposal. And now what? Now, live, if not for yourself, then for others. I know, I believe that you will succeed. Now, with my strength, everything will definitely work out. What will happen? Answer: to prevent what happened, or rather will happen. Naruto understood what his interlocutor was talking about. And what will happen to you? I'll be reborn. My knowledge, my memories will remain in this body, but I will return, and now go, and so that by our meeting I will have children for myself, he said before disappearing. Mito felt her head ache, but now it didn't bother her. She wanted to find out what happened to the others, because the last thing she remembered was how a young guy stopped her. She seems to have come to her senses. She heard a voice, and recognized Orochimaru in it. Tsunade looked at her grandmother, went up to her, and helped. Through the pain, Mito still sat down, and they immediately handed her water. After emptying the flask, she asked, "What happened?" She looked at her granddaughter, who lowered her head and answered, "You were resurrected together with him." "And how long has it been since my death?" "Relatively little, about a few months. By the way, do you know him?" Tsunade asked, pointing at Naruto with a nod. Mito was horrified to recognize him. "It's Naruto. The prince of the Uzumaki clan is Naruto Uzumaki. He was called the genius of his generation in the village." Looking at his unconscious body, Mito replied, "Only when I remembered him. His hair was red." "They brightened up when he resurrected you," Jiraiya said. "Resurrected?" "Yes, and how is he?" "He's unconscious, should come to in a while," Tsunade replied, after which Mito calmly exhaled. "And he's not a simple guy, he knows quite a lot," said Orochimaru, licking his lips, and looking at him rapaciously. Mito started looking around, and realized why it was so hot here. They were at the funnel, and this funnel is surrounded by water and lava, and from this we can conclude that they missed each other quite well. "How old am I now?" Mito asked, looking at her body. "About 13 or 14 years old, and he's the same age," Tsunade replied, nodding towards Naruto. "Do you happen to know his features of Mito-sama?" Orochimaru asked, still looking at Naruto. "Why would you do that?" "Mito has never felt trust in him." "Okay, if you don't want to, then I'll take some of his DNA. I don't think he'll be upset." He took the kunai to make a small incision on his body in order to take blood, but when he came close to him, he suddenly woke up, and taking him by the wrist, pulled him towards himself, and himself made a jerk forward, touched his stomach with 5 fingers, and said, "Printing of 5 elements. Activation." Orochimaru abruptly took hold of his stomach, and hissed in pain, "Someone else wants to take blood from me, but I immediately say that in return for this I will leave you without blood." Naruto stood over Orochimaru, and taking his kunai, looked at the others, and saw only 2 great dragon breath. He heard from behind him, and throwing a kunai in his direction, dodged the attack, after which, when he wanted to dodge, moved to him from behind, and said, "One more move, and you will be left without a head." Jiraiya was surprised by the boy's cold voice. As if he had seen a lot of shit in his life. "Naruto-sama, don't?" He heard Mito's voice, and looked at her with a questioning look. "Aren't you Mito Uzumaki, if I'm not mistaken, Hashirama's wife?" More confirmed than asked Naruto. "Yes, this is my granddaughter Tsunade Senju." Tsunade bowed with trembling legs. "The person in front of you is called Jiraiya, and the one who, Orochimaru." Jiraiya mentioned his name, Naruto said, removing the kunai from his throat. Naruto folded the seal, after which the signs on Orochimaru disappeared. "Can I ask a question? Was it the technique of the Flying Thunder God, the second Hokage?" Jiraiya asked, moving away from him. Naruto looked over his shoulder with a cold look, and answered, "Yes." "Any more questions?" "Where are you going?" Mito asked Naruto. "I don't know yet." "Is Uzushio destroyed?" Silence answered him. "Then don't you dare call me you anymore." Naruto wanted to take a step, but then he looked at his stomach, and saw, or rather did not see the seal there. Then he turned to Mito, and said, "Lift up your blouse." What? "Lift up your blouse." Mito obeyed him, and lifted her blouse, and Naruto didn't see anything there either. "Who is Jinchuriki Kura, Kyubi?" Naruto almost stumbled. "Kushina Uzumaki is her Jinchuriki. She's about the same age as us at the moment," Mito replied without taking her eyes off him. "Is she in Konoha?" "Yes." "Then let's go there. And you take this body, big guy," Naruto said to Jiraiya, pointing at Orochimaru. "Has he always been like this?" Tsunade asked in a whisper, approaching Mito. "No, at least his tone was not so cold. He often smiled, but if you consider what he went through and what he saw while I peacefully woke up in Konoha, you can understand why he became like this." "In Uzushio, girls probably ran after him in droves," said Tsunade, smiling. "And not only girls, but also girls," Mito said with a smile, looking at Naruto's back, and then saw Tsunade looking at her. "Don't look at me like that," Mito said, to which Tsunade fell behind a little, and walked looking at her young grandmother. "Do you have a plan?" Kurama asked. "No, I will act according to the circumstances." "Oh yes, why are you inside me if there is no seal?" Well, I think this can be explained by the fact that my chakra has moved along with your soul. You don't remember what exactly happened to the former owner of this body, which means that his soul has been completely banished to the pure world, and now you are its rightful owner, and I was pulled along with you. To put it simply, my body merged with his body, and it turned out to be a hybrid? Oh, hybrid is an understatement. If you and your old body went against this body, let's say at 16, then you would sweat a lot, even with me. Why would that be? What special abilities does he have? Should I list everything to you? Preferably yes. Well, let's start. In the inner world he has a storage device that constantly collects chakra, and, by the way, it was collected even when the body was dead. Naruto almost fell from the tree he was walking on after hearing this information. Are you kidding? By the eggs of Hagoromo, he has this chakra, Naruto asked, and Kurama first looked at his chakra ball, and then at the next one, which was 1.5 times larger. When you come, you'll find out for yourself. Then this kid has all 5 elements, and uses them ideally, and he can cast them at the same time, combining 2 or 3 elements. I already understood that. Should I continue further? Yes, and as I understand it, this is far from the end. It's just the surface of the ocean. Then his SCC is worked out ideally, which is not surprising for Uzumaki, who mostly orient themselves in Fuin. But I have a feeling that he has been training his body since he got out of his mom. Don't get distracted. And here is the most favorite, his body constantly passes through the chakra of nature. You don't mean to say that he owns Senjutsu, and as I see it much better than you. I think that among the two of us, you would have chosen him rather than me. Do you want me to answer? No, you'd better continue. As you wish. Also, he has things in the inner seal, and as I see, in pretty good condition. And he also has a high regeneration due to, as you have already understood, Senjutsu, high sensorics, intelligence. Well, at the moment this is the only thing you are ahead of him in, but if I compared you to him at your 16-year-old age, then you would have taken away from him in full, both physically and mentally. So, what else? Physically, he will give you a cradle, even if you use my chakra. His speed and reaction are amazing, and with the technique of the flight of the thunder god, in general, I'll continue later, you first digest it. Naruto understandingly thanked his schizophrenia. It would be better if we do a pre-trial. It's already night, so we don't know what we can expect, said Orochimaru, and Tsunade and Mito exhaled with relief. We will light a fire, but we will be on duty for. Jiraiya did not finish, as he saw that they were surrounded by a transparent dome. There is no need to be on duty, an ambush cannot be expected, this barrier will not let them through. We rest for 6 hours, and then we move out, Naruto said, but he was interrupted by Tsunade. We understand that you are essentially older than us, and all that, but why don't you ask our opinion? Are we not people for you? Mito constantly pulled Tsunade away, and when Naruto began to approach, she stood up for him. Naruto-sa, Naruto-kun, please, there is no need for disagreements, we are all tired, and everyone needs rest, but Naruto just walked up to her and said I'm sorry, then he just walked past her, and went into the thicket. And what was that? Tsunade asked Mito, and she shook her head in incomprehension. Is everything okay, Naruto? Kurama asked when Naruto sat down in a meditation pose. I don't know, I don't know. I don't understand what to do next. I'm not Hokage, and I can't give orders left and right, and I don't really want to go back to Konoha. Let me guess, these reasons are Kushina and Minato? In a way, yes. But you do realize that you're going to have to come back anyway, right? Of course, there's just one, but I don't have a specific place of residence. So what's the problem? Won't Hiruzen send you to Mito or Kushina? Well, yes, I didn't think of that somehow. Come on, come to your senses, and head to Konoha. I still have to dig into your brains. Having said that, Biju threw his Jinchuriki out of the inner world. Naruto-sama, Naruto-sama. Naruto heard, and felt himself being shaken by the shoulder. What happened to Tsunade? Naruto asked, getting up from his seat and shaking his clothes. Well, we're heading to Konoha, and as it were, in general, it's better for you to talk it all over with the Hokage. Naruto hardly reacted to this in any way, only nodded briefly. Tsunade moved away from him and started calling the others, and when everyone was ready after 10 minutes, Naruto bit his finger, then put it to the ground and said, "Reverse teleportation." There was a seal under them, which took a certain area, and teleported everyone to the Konoha gate. Naruto walked first, but not in the wrong direction, which the others immediately noticed. The Hokage residence is in the other direction, Mito said, to which Naruto, without turning around, said, "I know, I'll check on him later, better go, report on the completed mission." Then Naruto disappeared from their field of view, and Jiraiya asked, "What's the matter with him?" Then he immediately got a fist in Tsunade's face, and screams, "Are you an idiot, or are you pretending? He's been through this, and you're still asking what happened to him?" "I'm sorry, I said it without thinking," Jiraiya replied, still hanging as if glued to the post he had crashed into. "Let's hurry up and tell Hiruzen everything," Mito suggested, and headed towards the residence, after which the others followed her. And this place is still beautiful," Naruto said to himself, sitting on a tree, and looking at the clearing that was still in the last world. "You'll see, today I will definitely succeed." Naruto heard a voice under him, and saw two blonde tops there. In one of them he recognized his father, who was carrying something in a bag, and the other was a girl with long hair who was not very familiar to him. "You told me the same thing yesterday," the girl said, walking next to him. They stopped about 20 meters away from Naruto, but he still managed to see what was in the package. And there were balloons, ordinary balloons filled with water. Naruto smiled slightly from the corners of his lips, realizing what kind of training he was doing now. After a while, the girl got up from her seat, and going to Minato, whispered something in his ear, after which he turned to Naruto. "Noticed," Naruto said, and descending from the tree, approached them. "Hi, my name is Naya, and what about you? I see you're new to Konoha." "I haven't met you here before," the girl said, but Naruto did not answer anything, took one of the balls, and turning it a little in his hand, began to create chaotic movements in it, after which the ball burst. "Wow. How did you do that?" "I've been agonizing over this for 6 months now." Naruto raised an eyebrow at this questioningly, and Minato smiled foolishly and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Minato Namikaze, and what about you, Naruto?" He answered shortly, and going up to the tree with the thickest trunk, he said, "In the end, you should get something like this." He stretched out his hand so that those two could see carefully, after which he created a Rasengan in him, hit the tree, and the next second it fell with a crash. Then Naruto turned to them, and saw that their jaws almost reached the ground. With an unperturbed look, he returned to his tree, and then began to observe nature until he heard Naruto-san. Turning his head, Naruto saw the third Hokage along with his students, and Mito, the third Hokage, if I'm not mistaken, Naruto asked, coming down from the tree. "Yes, the third Hokage of Konoha is Sarutobi Hiruzen, glad to meet you." He held out his hand to him, and Naruto studied the old man a little with his eyes, and still shook his hand in response. Just Naruto Uzumaki. Having said that, Naruto moved away from him, and sat down near the tree from where he came down. "And what do you want to ask?" Naruto asked, addressing the Hokage. "Cooperation. You understand, Naruto-san, your knowledge would help. Knowledge of the Uzumaki clan is not for sale." Naruto answered harshly, which already made Hiruzen feel a little hot. "Any more questions?" "Of course, I would like to talk about your place of residence. There are 2 options. The first is a modest house with 1 living person. Her name is Kushina Uzumaki." Naruto smiled quietly to himself, and immediately said, "I choose this option. But, there is another," Hiruzen wanted to say, but swallowed the rest of the phrase when he finished. "As you wish." But you must understand that all this will not be free, so what exactly do you want from me? I say right away, there are no seals and secrets of the clan. No, I'm just asking you to complete missions. Special assignments, so to speak, but I promise I won't bother you with trifles. Naruto exhaled deeply, said. I didn't have enough running errands for the Hokage. Okay, I agree, that's great. By the way, meet my daughter Naya Sarutobi, and this is her companion Minato Namikaze. Those two silently watched the Hokage calling their peer to you. I already know them, and now, can I go? I'm wildly tired. Without waiting for an answer, Naruto took the keys from the hands of the Hokage, and headed to the given address on the keys. Arriving at the place, Naruto saw a beautiful house in the courtyard of which cherry blossoms were blooming. Looking at the tree, Naruto remembered his girlfriend, whom he ran after as a child. He smiled slightly, and when he opened the door, he saw a tidy living room. He began to look around, and in the corridor he saw 3 doors. Opening the first one, he saw a nice women's room, and realizing that it wasn't his, he closed it back. Opening the next one, he found that it was a bathroom, and the third was a nice well-kept, but empty bedroom. Taking off his raincoat, he hung it on a hanger, and then taking off his bandage, looked at the symbol of the whirlpool, which was in the center, and putting it to his heart, put it on the bedside table. Having settled in, he went to the kitchen, where he opened the refrigerator, found nothing but juice and a couple of rotten tomatoes. Then, opening the first cabinet, he saw bags of custard noodles filled to the top. And in the next, and in the next, and in the next, there was only one noodle. Does it remind you of anything? I teased Kuram's friend, to which he replied, I'm not up to your jokes right now, Ku. I'd better go, buy some groceries, and make a normal meal. From whom do I hear this? Oh, as if a hail of stones would not go. Fuck you. Naruto said, and dressed, headed to the market. What could be better than a warm bath and ramen, after a good workout, Kushina asked herself, walking alone down the street. When she got to the house, she was surprised that it was not locked, because she had never forgotten to close it before. Then she saw the light come on in the room, after which she took out the kunai and began to quietly sneak up on the stranger. Take the bowl over there, and sit down, eat, otherwise you will soon have indigestion from this, Naruto said, pointing to the bags of ramen. Who are you? Didn't the third one warn you? I'm your new neighbor Naruto Uzumaki. Kushina was extremely surprised by such an acquaintance, with such a neighbor, especially Uzumaki. What the hell are you talking about? Don't you believe it? Go ahead, you can ask him yourself, Naruto said, breaking the chopsticks and starting to eat the food, and I'll go and ask. So go and ask. The girl pouted, dressed back, and headed to the residence. She returned 15 minutes later, and found Naruto washing dishes. Well, are you sure? How so? What the hell kind of neighbor? Yes, he's so caring. Okay, I went, eat, and wash the dishes after myself, and also, I took a spare room, so now I can't go in there without asking, Naruto said, taking a towel and heading to the bathroom. Kushina stuck out her tongue at him, and pouting, took a bowl, and first slightly tasted the soup, immediately began to eat it. From a very pleasant taste. She began to analyze her neighbor, and began to draw conclusions. On the one hand, he cooks deliciously, and on the other, he is too tedious, so for now, she does not like him. Naruto was now sitting in the place where his head had once flaunted when he was a Hokage. He was looking at the village, and suddenly he heard, Naruto, I found the memories of Naruto's past here. In general, should I give them to you? Come on. I only advise you to carry out a healing chakra on your head, otherwise there is so much. Naruto listened to his advice, and when he began to transmit memories, it seemed to him that he had lived his whole life in a few seconds. Here is the first training session with my father, here is a family dinner, the first love, the first loss of a close friend, a huge spider, the training of Sanen's regime, and here is an attack on Uzushio, and emptiness. Well? Do you like my past? Naruto heard and opening his eyes, he saw himself, or rather another Naruto, the former owner of this body. "It feels like my life has been squandered backwards," said the blonde. "Do you know what our differences are?" red-haired Naruto asked, to which the other shook his head. "I'm there, and you're here," he said, pointing first up and then down. "So live Naruto. Do not make mistakes that we have made in the past, and correct the mistakes of others that we have made in the future." Having said that, the red-haired Uzumaki poked the blonde in the chest, after which he woke up in real life. "Naruto, how are you? Are you alright?" Kurama asked with concern. "Yes, I'm fine. And what are you going to do now?" Naruto took out a bandage with the sign of Uzushio from his pocket, looked at him, and put it on, said, "I was the shadow of Uzushio, now I will become the guardian of Konoha." At that moment, one of his eyes lit up with a Mangekyou Sharingan, and the other with a Rinnegan with several volumes. Waking up, Kushina went towards the bathroom, where she noticed her new neighbor through the window, who was making strange gestures. "What are you dancing for?" Kushina asked, walking up to him. "This is not a dance, but exercises that monks do in temples," Naruto replied without opening his eyes. "I advise you to practice on this too." Kushina only snorted at this, and answered, "Pfft, as if I have nothing to do but dance your dance." Then she left, and when she came out of the bathroom 10 minutes later, she saw Naruto in a strange position. A small spike of stone appeared near the tree, on which Naruto was sitting, substituting a stone slab for himself. Squirrels were walking around it, and birds were sitting on it. Kushina started to approach him, but at one point all the animals moved away from him, and Naruto got up from his seat. "And what was that?" Kushina asked the departing Naruto. "This is special training," Naruto replied, taking the rake in his hands. "Will you teach me?" Kushina asked, looking at Naruto, who was making a small river near Sakura. After hearing and analyzing her request, Naruto put the tool in place, and folded several seals, after which the rest of the river appeared by itself, and Naruto began to walk towards the house. "Does that mean no?" Kushina asked, after which she heard the door slam loudly. "Well, don't." Boring. Naruto was now standing on the training ground, in front of a tree. "That's it, if I'm not mistaken," Naruto said, after which chains appeared from under the sleeves of his clothes, which enveloped the tree, and a second later seals lit up on them, and each seal exploded, leaving not a chip of wood. Then he heard a voice behind him. "My name is Fugaku Uchiha, shall we fight?" Turning around, he saw a guy of aristocratic appearance, and a fighting stance. "No," Naruto replied, and putting on his robe, headed for the exit from the landfill, but that guy said, "If you are, then I will start myself." Fugaku folded several seals, and directed a large fireball at the enemy, and when the fire dissipated, Fugaku did not see the enemy in front of him, but heard a voice behind him. "I told you, no." Naruto kicked him in the back, and when he crashed into a tree, Naruto calmly walked out of the landfill. "I wonder if all the Uchiha are so beaten on the head, or is it just their family like that?" Kurama asked a very interesting and correct question, but Naruto only kept silent in response. Right before the exit, Anbu landed in front of him in a mask, and gave him a note. Naruto put it in his pocket, and wandered on home. Naruto saw Minato, who was standing in front of the gate of his house, and when he noticed him, he quickly approached him, and saying "Here," picked up a ball, and began to randomly twist the water in it, after which the ball burst. "What's next?" Minato asked, but Naruto just went on, and opening the gate of the house, said, "Bring me the rubber balls now." Then he closed the gate, and after changing clothes, went into the shower. When Naruto wrapped one towel around his waist and dried his hair with the other, he heard a knock at the gate, and when he opened it, Naruto saw Minato with a whole bag of rubber balls. Minato took one ball and handed it to Naruto, and he accepted it, injected a chakra into it, and forcefully tore it apart, so much so that Minato flew away for several meters, plowing the ground with himself. "Until you do the same, don't bother me," Naruto said, and went back into the house. After cooking himself dinner, he just wanted to say to himself "Bon appetit," but suddenly he heard a knock at the gate again. He only managed to open it, and when he saw Naya Sarutobi, he heard, "Good evening Naruto-sama, teach me." Naruto did not even listen to the end, immediately closing the gate. Please, Naruto-sama. You're teaching Minato a cool technique. Minato studies himself. I just show him. I don't give him any practice. Naruto said to the girl behind the wall. That's enough for me. Please, just show me the technique. I'll learn by myself. The girl pleaded, and Naruto heard advice from a friend. Naruto, wouldn't it be advantageous to have the Hokage's entourage in the arrangement? They will stand up for you at the right moment, play along, etc. And your words make sense, Naruto said, rubbing his chin. He walked up to the gate, and when he opened it, he saw Naya, who was already leaving, and immediately turned around when she saw Naruto. Come here, Naruto said, luring the girl. When she came up, he asked, what elements do you possess? Fire and wind, sensei, Naya replied, which irritated the guy. Don't you dare call me sensei yet. I still have to see what you're capable of. Naruto folded the seal, and two clones appeared next to him, who jumped onto the roof of the building, and both collected several seals, said at the same time, fire style, great fiery annihilation. Wind style, fierce current. Combination, mighty fire typhoon. A huge whirlpool of equipment from two elements hung over Konoha, which was visible tens of kilometers from Konoha itself, and Naya looked at this technique with great surprise. Bet, if you learn this technique in a week, I will become your sensei. No, then you fulfill one of my wishes. Do you agree? She agreed without hesitation, and bowing, quickly ran somewhere. And Naruto thanked Kami for the fact that he can now eat in peace. When he went to his desk, he saw a note there, which he handed to Anbu. Opening it, he read, Hello Mr. Uzumaki. You are worried about Danzo Shimura. Naruto did not read further, and crumpled the piece of paper, threw it into the trash. Hiruzen sat quietly in his office, smoking a pipe, until at one point the door opened with a bang, and his daughter came in, and leaning her hands on the table, said, Father, I urgently need to learn a technique. More precisely, two, and combine them. The elder Sarutobi raised an eyebrow questioningly, and asked, Why do you need to learn two techniques so urgently? Naruto-sama promised to take me as a student if I learn the technique that you just saw. After such an answer, the Hokage's interest in the conversation grew several times. So it was Naruto who used that technique? Naya threw in response, Damn. And I was already thinking what a young and experienced generation we have growing up. In general, listen, the technique that you saw requires a huge amount of chakra. Even I don't have enough chakra to combine the cutting wave with the fire breath. Naya raised an eyebrow questioningly in response, and clarified, it was other techniques. It seems great fiery destruction, and ferocious flow. After what was said, Hiruzen's pipe fell to the floor, and he went up to Naya, sat down on one knee, and said, Naya, are you sure you didn't make a mistake with the name? She nodded in response. And I was already beginning to think why the size of the equipment is so huge. In short, to perform at least one of the above techniques, you need to gather at least 5 professionals of this element, with a huge supply of chakra. That is, at least 10 S+ class jonins are needed to perform this combination. And you will not collect such in Konoha. Maybe you'll find fire-style professionals, but wind, it's you who needs to find soon as shinobi. Naya, hearing the information, became sad, and asked. Then how did he do it? After all, he even created 2 clones that shared his chakra, and now I'll tell you one more thing, thanks to which Uzumaki got such fame. They have a huge, I repeat, a huge supply of chakra. Give an example. Hiruzen scratched his beard, and said, the chakra of 1 genin Uzumaki is equal somewhere to the chakra of 5 jonins, and since Naruto-kun is not just a shinobi, but the prince of his clan, then you can draw conclusions. Simply put, he can pull off such a trick 10 times and not break a sweat, the blonde said, lowering her head. So I lost our argument? What dispute? I had to learn the technique in a week, and if I lose, then I have to fulfill his wish. In the next second, the office was filled with Hokage mats, and when they ran out, he began to talk to himself while biting his nails. Damn. What did he ask for? Power? Influence? No, it's too wide, and I won't allow it, or else. He looked carefully at Naya, that she already had sweat on her forehead. No, no, he won't stoop to that. He turned to Naya and said, I will talk about your dispute with him today, and next time, dear lady, think with your head before making a bet with someone. And what's wrong with a dispute? The war of the feudal lords of Suna and Willow began precisely because of a dispute. They argued over who would drink the most, and a small piece of fertile land would belong to him. And then he can, okay, go home, and I need to think about some things. Naya anxiously left the office, and Hiruzen, smoking a pipe, looked out the window. What are you up to, Uzumaki-san? Hokage asked, and blew smoke out the window. Naruto was sitting on his bed right now, and while meditating, he decided to sort out all the knowledge and memories he had gained on the shelves. He didn't really touch his personal memories, because he didn't see the need for it, but only one thing interested him very much. His fiancée was an exact copy of Kushina, and not only that, she was Mito's sister. Naruto decided to talk to her about it later, and now Naruto has reached the first call. As Naruto saw then in his memories, his summons were spiders. Different sizes, shapes, types, etc. For curiosity, he collected the necessary seals, and biting his finger, touched the floor, after which a small white spider appeared out of the smoke. Naruto? Is it really you? How is this possible? The spider that appeared began to ask questions, and hello to you, Okumer. Yes, that's it. But, your name disappeared from the list many years ago. You definitely died, and then it reappeared. Yes, but I was resurrected a couple of days ago. Resurrected? Who? How? Well, it doesn't matter. This man is already feeding worms in a coffin, I see. By the way, how do you feel after? Yes, it's fine, forget it, you can go. By the way, I called you just for curiosity. Oh, well, then okay, you, if anything, call me, I'm always happy to help. Of course, good luck. The spider disappeared into the smoke, and the next minute, Naruto heard a knock on the gate. I won't teach anyone anything, I'm tired, go to bed, Naruto said without getting up from his seat. But suddenly he heard a voice. It's me, Naruto-san. The third Hokage. Naruto opened the door, saw the Hokage in a raincoat. Can I? He asked, to which Naruto moved away, allowing him to enter. What brings you to my humble abode at such a late hour? Naruto asked, pouring tea for the guest. I'm talking about your contract with my daughter. Oh, you mean that, and what didn't suit you in this contract? Naruto asked, sitting down opposite him. After taking a small sip, Hiruzen replied, I would like to terminate this agreement. My daughter will not be able to perform this technique. I know, Naruto replied in a calm and light voice. I just wanted to find out how far she would go, but as I see, she fell at the track, not even having time to accelerate. Hiruzen's eyes widened. That is, if she trained to the end, and did not give up, would you agree to take her as a student? After taking a small sip, Naruto replied with an indifferent look. Yes, but as I see it, it won't happen. How can I believe in her if you yourself cannot believe in her powers? Hiruzen gritted his teeth. He should have guessed this outcome of events. He is not an ordinary person. In that case, can I look at the contract sheet? Hiruzen asked. He's not here, Naruto replied, still with the same calm look. Although Hiruzen had a nervous tick at that moment. How not? Yes, that's it. The contract was oral, and everything was calculated on her honesty. By the way, this was also an important criterion for me, the honesty of a person. Hiruzen had mixed feelings at that moment. On the one hand, there was no officially written contract, and on the other, he had just specifically disgraced himself in front of a person. In that case, I'm sorry to bother you, I'll go, said Hiruzen, and bowing, hurried out of the house, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders and went to bed. As usual, waking up early, Naruto got up from his seat and went into the bathroom, and suddenly felt 3 sources of chakra in the kitchen, one of which was perfectly familiar to him. Although he had negative feelings for this person, he kept his face calm. Good morning, Danzo-san. What brings you to my house at such an early hour? Naruto asked, going into the kitchen, and seeing the head of the root there with 2 subordinates, and the same to you, Uzumaki-san. I just wanted to know your decision about my contract yesterday, since you didn't deign to come to the meeting place. The answer is negative, Naruto said, not even understanding what he was talking about. Why? My offer is very beneficial to all parties. You order the Jinchuriki to join the route, thereby making your clansmen only stronger, and in the meantime we promise safety to you and your neighbor. Naruto kept his face calm, but inside he grinned, realizing what game his interlocutor was trying to play. This offer is very tempting, but as usual, there is one but. I do not influence the Jinchuriki in any way. She is free to do what she wants, because in fact there is no clan, which means there is no leader who would order others. Is that a hint? Danzo asked, thinking that he wanted to revive his clan. I'm not hinting at anything, I'm just saying the facts. And besides, Kushina and I only have a very strained relationship, so you don't get along with her? No, we just don't communicate. She took offense at me because of my refusal to train her. You don't want her to get stronger? I don't care about her. I can have a personal life, but I don't need any burdens. What if you are attacked at night, and there is no one to cover you? Danzo asked, squinting his one eye. Is that a threat? Naruto asked, still with a calm face. No, just a warning. Thanks for the allotted time, Naruto-san. I'll go, Danzo said, getting up from his seat. Arrogant boy, Danzo said as he disappeared from the blonde's field of vision. Narcissistic asshole, Naruto said to the departing man. Who was that? Kushina asked, sleepily rubbing her eyes. Oh, it doesn't matter. Go wash up, I'll make breakfast. Naruto watched as the girl quickly eats all the food and collects things. Are you late? Naruto suggested. Yes, Sensei told us to be at the Hokage residence. At that moment, Anbu appeared in their yard and told Naruto to come to the residence within 5 minutes. Did something happen to Hokage-sama? Naruto asked as he entered the office. Yes, Naruto-san. At that moment Naruto saw Makoto, Kushina, and Naya, as well as Kakashi's father, Hatake Tsukumo. The first one looked at Uzumaki with interest. Mr. Tsukumo's team needs help. The fact is that enemy troops have been found on our territory, and they need to be quietly eliminated before they leave, or sent for reinforcements. And why do you need me? Naruto asked, folding his arms at his chest. The fact is that there are a lot of them, and if you send a large detachment, it will be quickly noticed by scouts. I rely on your skill and experience, and also this will be your test task. And by the way, here, Hokage took out a bandage from the locker and handed it to Naruto, but Naruto only took out his bandage with the sign of Uzushio from his pouch and put it on. As you wish. You have 10 minutes for everything about everything, and then move out. We reached our destination in silence. Usually the conversations of the team are fun, there is always something to talk about, but the presence of Naruto, and his constant cold gaze slightly spoiled the atmosphere. We're here, Naruto said, and stopping the teammates, showed them the entrance to the cave. Naruto concentrated at this moment, and continued. 35, no, 36. According to the chakra, I can say that from Chunins to Jonins. But most likely it's just a reconnaissance squad, because if it was an invasion, then the number of opponents would be much greater. Okay, then the plan is, said Hatake, but he was interrupted by Naruto. I go in there and deal with them, and you finish off those who come out of the cave. Having said that, Naruto entered the cave, and Kushina said, and why is he commanding us? If he said so, then he is confident in his abilities. He himself said out loud the levels of the opponents, and as you can see, they are not weak, which means that if he was weaker, he would not have entered there alone. Then everyone started hearing screams from the cave, and those screams clearly didn't belong to Naruto. Having surrounded the cave so that no one would come out, they had already begun to hear pleas for mercy, and they, too, were clearly not Naruto. At one point, a girl began to come out of the cave, all wounded, and with a bone sticking out on her right arm, but right before leaving, her chest pierced the chain from her back and pulled her back into the cave, and then blood splashed out of the cave, and her screams were heard. Then, when no more screams, moans, or pleas were heard from the cave, Naruto came out, who wiped his bloody katana with a rag, and then burned it. A group of 100 people should arrive here in a week, Naruto said, walking up to his comrades. They carefully examined his body, and did not find a single scratch on it. He didn't even break a sweat, and what's more, there wasn't even a drop of the opponent's blood on him. After some time on the way back, on which not a single word was uttered, the detachment met the messenger eagle. "What's there?" Kushina asked her sensei. "There is a detachment from Kumo a few kilometers away from us. They are very well armed, and they also have Jinchuriki in their squad too," said Naruto, sitting by the shade. "To what?" Naya asked. "They have 2 Jinchuriki in their squad. 2-tailed and 8-tailed. "How did you know?" Kushina asked, putting her hands on her hips. "Intuition." And what are we ordered to do?" Naruto asked Tsukumo. "We've been ordered to split into 2 squads. Naya, Kushina, you go with Naruto, and Mikoto with me. We go in the east direction, and you go in the west. We need to hold out until reinforcements arrive." "Naruto, can you feel them?" "Yes, there are much more opponents in their direction than in ours. Of course, the old man is worried about his daughter along with Jinchuriki, and there are plenty of Jonins with small Uchiha." "Yes, and I don't think I need to worry about them," Naruto told his friend, and led the girls after him. At one point, Naruto felt that the squad that Mikoto and Tsukumo were going to split up, and most of them headed in their direction. "It looks like they have a sensor in their squad," Naruto said calmly, without deviating from the route. "What makes you think that?" Kushina asked. "Their squad has split up, and most of them are heading to our side. It means something, or someone. They are very interested in our team, and there is only one thing that can interest them in us." Naruto made the verdict, still with the same stone face, looking over his shoulder at Kushina. "How can you be so calm even in such a situation?" asked Naya, who tried not to show her emotions, but still Naruto heard the notes of fear in her voice. "I am restless, I am also afraid. Only I feel fear slightly differently than you." Then Naruto jumped up to dodge the kunai flying at him. He created clones that began to cover the girls while he was fighting with opponents. He suddenly felt pain due to a blow to the liver at high speed, after which he flew several tens of meters away, plowing the ground with himself. "Naruto," the girls shouted in chorus, and quickly approached him. "He's not a tenant anymore," said the blonde, standing on a branch, and looking at the trio. "The blonde is scattered, but do not touch the redhead," the blonde ordered. "Ku, it smells fried." "I see, it's just too early for you to call me. It can lead to irreversible consequences." "Then what are you suggesting?" "You know what?" At that moment, they both grinned, and Naruto got up from his seat and said, "Maybe you'll rest a little." Then he looked at her with activated Rinnegan, and the girl abruptly began to lift up, and raising her head, she saw a small black ball above her, which attracted her. "Damn it," she said, and entering the second level of the Biju in the form of a cat, she directed the Biju Damu, which only bounced off the ball, and exploded somewhere in the air. Then stones flew with her, and she tried to fight back at the maximum, but this only accelerated her ceiling. When Naruto realized that it was enough, the stone ball in the sky began to turn black and become smaller, eventually becoming a small ball that flew up to his hand and disappeared into smoke. "What happened here?" I heard the voice of Mikoto Naruto behind me, and turning around, I saw that she was looking at a huge crater in which there was a beautiful green clearing just a few seconds ago. "Are you like Naruto-sama?" Naya asked, looking at the place of the blow, where only recently a terrible wound was visible. "For me, it's nothing, I rather need to deal with the remaining enemies." At this moment, all the Kumo shinobi who did not fall under the enemy equipment zone prayed that the silhouette of this blonde man would not be the last thing they would see. Oh, if they only knew that no one else would hear their prayers. "Is that all?" Hokage asked after reading the report. Everything seemed to be right, but their faces said that they were definitely hiding something. Naruto answered for everyone. "Okay, you're free." Naya, stay. The blonde stayed with her father, and when everyone left, he asked, "So what happened to Naya?" "Nothing," she replied, looking away. "Are you sure?" "Yes, honey, you can trust me. I promise, I won't tell anyone." Naya exhaled, and said, "In general, one point was missed in the report." "What is the moment?" Hiruzen asked, squinting his eyes, and folding his fingers into a lock in front of him. "In general, Naruto-sama was severely injured, and after a few seconds, his eye lit up with a strange dojutsu. How? Draw it, please, if it's not difficult, Hiruzen said, taking out a sheet of paper from the locker. He watched his daughter's sketches, and how she draws Tomo, along with circles here, only it was purple. Hiruzen carefully examined the drawing, and nodding to Naya, let her go home, after which he ordered Anbu to call Danzo.at. That moment, Naruto, standing outside by the window, smiled with the corners of his lips. The first part of his plan was completed, and the rest is a matter of technique. Returning home, Naruto went into his room, and called back the black ball in which that blonde was sealed. Well, hello, beautiful, Naruto told her, with only a slight smile at the corners of his lips. Hinata, 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 Naruto spoke in a dream, and at the end, shouting the name, woke up in a cold sweat. What are the nightmares again? Asked the kurama of his Jinchuriki. Yes. Naruto answered, standing at the window, and looking at the clock, he saw 5 in the morning there. That's when you changed. Don't start. Naruto said, plopping down on the bed again, after which fragments of his past life began to appear before his eyes. Flashback. Standing on the surface of the moon, Naruto looked at the man who shone with turquoise light, and imagined himself to be the one who should destroy the earth. Naruto repelled all his attacks, but suddenly at one point he disappeared, and wanted to pierce him through, but instead Naruto heard beware, and felt like he was pushed away. Turning around, he saw a man who was looking in shock at who he had killed. No, 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 said Naruto, holding a living body in his arms. I love you, Naruto-kun. He heard Naruto's last words from Hinata, after which her body began to crumble into dust. I didn't mean it, said the man, hovering next to Naruto. Didn't want to, you say? That was the last thing Naruto remembered. Then it was as if his brain turned off, and he came to himself only after a while, sitting on the body of the same man. He was lying motionless, and there was no living place on his face, and his hands were torn off. Naruto looked at the knuckles of his hands, and saw them bloody. His bones were also visible there, but his wounds were quickly healing. Naruto heard a voice behind him, but he did not pay attention to him. He just got up and walked on, ignoring the words of his friends. At that moment, his soul perished, along with the one he loved. The end. Kurama realized that his friend had gone into his memories, so he decided to change the subject. Okay, fuck it, you better answer me some questions. Which ones? Naruto asked, brightening up. Why do you treat Kushina like that? You don't just keep her away from you for a reason. You do her laundry, cook her food, clean up after her, but you don't talk much. It's just that I don't want her to get close to me. Are you afraid that she will love you? And, yes, you got it right. And why are you so rude to the others? Filter, so I can understand people better. Okay, then what kind of plan did you come up with? No, I won't say. Why? Intrigued. Is Sarura part of this plan? Asked Kurama, remembering that blonde from Kumo. She is part of another plan, but in the end, these plans will lead to one goal. Well. You understand that you are changing the course of history with your actions. Yes, I understand that perfectly, but I don't think they will change it much. What about Rasengan? You are now the official creator of it. I don't think such a small thing can change the course of history. Okay, Sarura will get to Kumo by evening, and now I'm going to unwind. Naruto got up from his seat, and after getting dressed, went to the clearing where he had often met Hinata at the time. Sitting on a tree, Naruto saw a beautiful girl with black hair and white eyes, which gave her a member of the Hyuga clan. She looked very much like Hinata, so Naruto pinched himself and asked, am I dreaming? No, what makes you think? Hanari. You know her? Yes, this is Hinata's mom. At one time, Kushina communicated with her, although it was only occasionally. Most of the time, your mom hung out with Mikoto. After listening to the information, Naruto descended from the tree, and approaching the girl, said, "Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and what about you?" I started with a simple Naruto, but I understood that from the outside now, he looked stupider than ever. Hanari was a little embarrassed, but bowed and answered, hello. My name is Hanari Hyuga, nice to meet you, yes. Can I help you with something? Naruto suggested. No, thanks, I just finished. By the way, did you like this place? Yes, a beautiful, sweet, and quiet place. Hanari, hurry up, we're late, they both heard, and saw Hayashi coming towards them. Naruto-san, I didn't expect to see you here, Hayashi said as he approached them. As I am you, Naruto replied, shaking his hand. Hanari, let's go, we need to discuss something, Hayashi said, and quickly took the girl away so that she barely had time to say goodbye, and Naruto remained standing and waiting. Naruto, hit this asshole. And take her to hell. Why? Where? I don't know, take it where you want, I like her, I mean, as a person. Why would that be? She embarrassed you. You. If you saw yourself from the outside, you wouldn't recognize yourself. Oh, fuck you. Naruto said, although he had to admit the changes in himself. Returning home, Naruto changed his clothes, put on a black robe with the symbol of Uzushio, and put on a mask, after which he disappeared from the room, appearing in a cute house. You still showed up, Sarura said, looking at the blonde. I keep my promise, Naruto said, taking off his robe. Then she's there, the girl said, pointing to the room behind Naruto. He turned around, saw the room, and entering it, saw an old woman who was lying in bed. Mom, I brought a healer, everything will be fine, the girl said, sitting down next to her mother. His name is Naruto, he will help. Naruto touched her, then asked, how long have you been away from Jinchuriki, Mrs. Yujito? She answered with a hoarse voice. About 20 years, she replied, after which she started coughing sharply. I see. Naruto replied in a calm voice, due to the loss of Biju, your body is trying to work at the usual pace, which you have had almost since birth. What does that mean? Sarura asked. Her chakra at one time worked at a fast pace, and after the loss of Biju, too, because of which the chakra began to accelerate the work of the body, which led to rapid aging. She's much younger than she really is, am I right? Naruto asked her, after which he received a nod. Okay, come here. Sarura approached him, and when he asked him to put his hands on his mother's chest, Naruto put them on top of her, after which her hand lit up with a red chakra, and Yujito's body began to grow younger. Eventually, when her age became similar to about 35-year-old women, Naruto took a step back and began to explain. I took a piece of the two-tailed chakra, and introduced it into your chakra channels, thereby returning your youth to you. Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Naruto, corrected her mother Sarura, and continued. I'll show the guest out, Sarura said, and hurried along with Naruto to the exit. I did my job, and now you have to tell me why you had to come to Kumo. I want to kill Raikage, Naruto replied, and immediately activated the seal on it. She fell to the floor with a hiss, clutching her chest. Why would you do that? Sarura asked when Naruto deactivated the seal action. At that moment, a vision appeared before his eyes, as Raikage kills his father, although at that time he was not yet a Kage. How do you feel about the man who killed your father, while he did nothing wrong to him? Naruto asked with a calm voice, but at the last moment his voice faltered. Nevertheless, the absorption of memories does not remain without a trace, and at least some feelings appear. You want to say that? Yes, you're right, and now, let me do what I have in mind, and then I promise, the village will not suffer, Naruto said, and disappeared from her house without waiting for an answer. Listen Naruto, I've learned something here while researching memories. Kurama said, looking at the world through the eyes of his Jinchuriki, who is now standing on the roof of one of the buildings and looking at the sky. What? I can give you the appearance of Naruto's past. Red hair, purple eyes. Come on. Naruto replied, and a few seconds after the change, he created a clone, and saw the same person when he was looking through his memories. Okay, then it's time to get down to business. Naruto looked down and saw Raikage, who was laughing and rejoicing. You don't have long left. Raikage sat and watched the celebration in the main square. Today was a special day, the day of the foundation of Kumo. Everyone rejoiced, laughed, and carried gifts to their Kage. Raikage was also smiling, but suddenly he had to take his son and quickly jump aside, because a masked teenager landed in the place where he had been sitting a second ago, with a blue glowing ball in his hand, leaving a decent funnel in the place where he landed. Either you're too strong or you're too dumb to attack me in the open, yes, and you have become faster since the last moment of our meeting, said the guy in the mask, and lit up with a golden glow, hit the Raikage so that he already broke through several houses, including the gates of the village, thereby flying out of the village. Naruto was standing on a hill, and waited for the smoke to dissipate, but suddenly a third Raikage appears in front of his face, burning with blue light, from a burst of chakra. His fist almost reached Uzumaki, but he disappeared right before the blow. Who are you? Raikage asked, looking at his opponent, who was standing a few meters away from him. I am the ghost of Uzushio, he answered, and rushed towards Kage. He put his hand forward, and Uzumaki was pierced by his hand. At that moment, Kage thought weakling, but the next second he flew into the crows, and Kage instinctively turned around, tried to hit the opponent in the face, but he managed to dodge and touch his stomach with the technique. Raikage jumped away from him, and fed his hand with chakra, after which he headed towards the enemy, but he disappeared again. You've lost, I heard Raikage's voice, cold as ice, and received a shuriken on the back. You rejoice too soon, boy, although I must admit, to strike a blow while dodging all my attacks is commendable, but, the next blow will be your last, said Raikage, and concentrated the chakra on the tip of his index finger. Rather for you, Naruto said, closing his eyes, and began to absorb the chakra of nature. At one point, he felt like he had two eyes on his forehead, and they had a white color. He looked at the opponent with them, and saw his movements in great detail. He could also use them to see the enemy's SCS, thereby knowing when he would run out of steam. Naruto heard, and opening his eyes right before the blow, he saw the opponent's hand a few centimeters from his face. During these fractions of a second, Naruto leaned slightly to the right, and hit that Rasengan on the arm, from which Raikage hit his own chest, piercing the body. I told you, you lost, Naruto whispered angrily to Kage, and when the protection was removed, Naruto concentrated the Rasengan with all his might, from which he acquired a dark purple color, and looked like a bijou lady, and hit him right in the face, which caused a huge explosion. And where is Naruto-kun? Yujito asked her daughter. He said he'd be back in a while. Raikage was attacked, and he is now working as a support, Sarura replied, very worried about the third. At that moment, she saw something flash in the living room, and when she entered there, she saw Naruto in shabby clothes, which he changed on the go, and at the same time his hair became light. Why, you are his? Yes. Sarura did not have time to finish the question, as she immediately received an accurate and intelligible answer. Get out. You did what you did, and now please get out of my sight, Sarura said, after which tears came out of her eyes. Okay, but first I'm going to say goodbye to your mother. Naruto went into the kitchen, and saw Yujito, who was diligently cooking something, and Naruto-kun, sit down. So what happened to the third one? He was murdered. After such an answer, Yujito's spatula, which she was stirring dinner, fell, and then looking at Naruto, she asked. How? Unknown. In the middle of the holiday, an unknown masked ninja appeared with a whirlpool sign, which sent Kage out of the village with a blow. Everyone followed them, and when they arrived at the place, they found the Raikage, or rather what was left of it. Yujito slowly slid to the floor from such news. I'll go, I have things to do, Naruto said, and going up to Sarura, put his palm on her wrist, after which he put a seal and said, if you need help, run your chakra through the seal. I'll come right away, Naruto said, leaving Sarura crying with Yujito. I would like to take a bath now, Naruto said, appearing at the threshold of his house. He immediately realized that Kushina was not at home, because she was nowhere, which puzzled the blonde. It's strange, she didn't seem to have any assignments, she didn't go to Makoto, she doesn't train at this time. Naruto turned around and carefully examined the yard, after which his gaze was riveted by the red hair that was lying on the ground. He immediately approached them, and taking them in his arms, he realized. No, it fell from his lips, after which he entered the hermit mode, felt that she was already far from the village, and there were several sources of chakra with her, and I already thought that I managed to prevent it. Kushina was walking through the forest tied up. Her eyes were closing from fatigue, and it was uncomfortable to walk because of the position. She tore her hair a little every few meters, hoping that she would be saved, but this hope was fading every moment. Who needs someone like her? Her character was unbearable, and because of this, she was preferred to be bypassed. Of her friends, she had only Makoto, but she hardly counted on her help, and now, she was almost at the border, after crossing which, no one would save her. Naruto, watching this, thought to himself. Where's Minato? He should have been here a long time ago. He's in Konoha. Kurama prompted, which increased the nervousness of his Jinchuriki. Damn, the further, the more opponents are waiting for me. Naruto, you understand that, I know so you can't delay. Kushina at one point heard a voice. Do you want power? Do you want to save your life? The voice was ominous. Who are you? Kushina asked. I am the one who will save you, for this you need to do only one thing. What? Remove the seal. After that, Kushina immediately realized who was talking to her. You're a Kyuubi, am I right? Yes, and I'll save you, it only takes one move. I'll die after that, won't I? There was only silence in response. Well, at least I'll take them with me. My death will not be in vain. Kushina stopped going, to which one of the kidnappers said, why did you stop? He could not finish because he was dragged by a chain into the forest. Kushina immediately switched to real, and heard another of the kidnappers. This is the enemy, keep the formation, the last thing the squad leader managed to say before losing his head, along with the rest. Kushina only realized after a few seconds that she was being carried in her arms. And Naruto? It's you, she asked the guy who was carrying her now. Expecting someone else? Naruto asked, then jumped aside to dodge the hail of kunai shadow cloning. Naruto said, after which he called several clones who were able to delay the opponents, but they did not last long, because of the Bija lady who tore them apart, and exploding, through the original with Kushina a few meters. Naruto fell next to Kushina, and when he came to himself, he saw several Bija ladies from Gyuki flying at him. Kushina, I'm going to show you something now, just promise that it will remain between us. What are you talking about? Kushina asked in horror, looking at the techniques that fly into them. Promise what? Promise, I promise, Kushina said, not even realizing what he was talking about. Then she saw Naruto light up in golden color, and the techniques that were right in front of his face flew away from him into the sky, because of one blow. Then Naruto's entourage also began to apply the same shade, and a second later a huge fox from the chakra with 9 tails stood in the clearing, looking at his brother. How many years have I not felt solid ground under my feet? Kushina heard the same voice she had heard a few minutes ago. It looks like he's under the control of his genie, Kurama concluded, despite the fact that his brother does not show him any reaction. Yes, I can see his chakra, Naruto said, peering through the Rinnegan. If you cover me, I can separate him from the shackles. We'll do it, Kurama said confidently. Maybe we'll go into absolute mode, just to be sure, Naruto suggested. No, that's enough for us, they are still young. Before the absolute regime. Naruto and Kurama noticed several people with scrolls. It looks like a sealing squad. Well, let them try to seal us, Naruto said, and Kurama waved his tails, quickly destroying the impudence. I'll tie him up, and you quickly pull the body out of Gyuki, and I advise you to do it quickly, because it's very painful. Got it, Naruto replied, after which Kurama rushed towards the 8-tailed one. After following the octopus, Kurama created 2 clones that grabbed Gyuki and squeezed with their tails. Naruto quickly took advantage of the chance, and coming out of Kurama, jumped on Gyuki's head, and touching his head, folded the seals, which is why Gyuki calmed down. "You're free now," Naruto said, after which Gyuki got his mind back, and the last Jinchuriki was absorbed. Naruto came out of the mode, and dispelling Kurama, picked up Kushina in his arms, and teleported home. "Are you hurt?" Naruto asked, putting her on the bed. She shook her head. "Are you hungry?" This time she nodded. "Okay, go wash up, and I'll cook you something." "At 1 o'clock in the morning?" Kushina asked. "It's not difficult for me," Naruto said, smiling sweetly at her. Seeing his smile, Kushina suddenly felt a warmth in her heart. After eating, Kushina went to her bedroom, and Naruto, sitting in his bed, analyzed this situation. "Where was he at all?" Naruto asked. "Maybe he was busy with other things?" "Perhaps, but in the past he rushed to save her without even thinking. He was probably counting on you, and if that's the case, then he was right." "And what should I do next? How do I bring them together now, and why exactly can't you do it with her yourself? Are you kidding me? She's my mother. Just imagine another Kushina instead of her, the one who was with you in Uzushio." Naruto tried to do as Kurama asked, and at first he succeeded, but suddenly only a picture of several Kiri shinobi who pierce Kushina's body climbs into his head. "They will be next," Naruto said, lowering his head. Then the door to his room opened, and Kushina appeared from there. "And Naruto-kun, can I come with you?" "Well?" She hesitated a little, so Naruto finished her question. "Do you want to sleep with me?" She nodded in response. "Of course." Kushina came up to him, and falling next to Naruto, clung to his hand. Naruto also lay down. There was enough stress for him today. Kushina was trying to find something with which she fell asleep with pleasure tonight, but his neighbor's hand was nowhere to be found. "Why are you so early?" Kushina asked, opening her eyes, and seeing Naruto already dressed. "I have to go somewhere. I'll come back in an hour or two, and I hope that everything will be fine until then." Having said that, he left, and Kushina decided to follow him. Following Naruto, she came to a nice clearing where Naruto was talking to some Hyuga. Kushina did not hear their conversation, but looking at how Naruto smiles sweetly at her, and talks calmly, and at the same time, laughing, Kushina was a little jealous, although at that time she denied it herself, unable to stand it. At one point she left, leaving the couple alone. "Is someone there?" Hanari asked, and after looking with a Byakugan, she found no one. "Maybe it seemed," Naruto suggested. "Good afternoon, young people." The couple heard behind them, and turning around, they saw the elder of the Hyuga Katsumi clan. "Good afternoon, Katsumi-san," Naruto said, bowing to the interlocutor. "Did something happen to Katsumi-sama?" Hanari asked. "No, I just wanted to observe the younger generation," the man replied, smiling. "Okay, then I'll go, I have some things to do." After saying that, Naruto disappeared, and Katsumi said, "As I thought." Hanari looked at the elder questioningly. "What are you talking about?" "Come on, Hanari, we need to talk to you about something." When Naruto first appeared at home, Anbu stood in front of him and handed him an envelope, after which he disappeared again. Opening the envelope, Naruto saw there an invitation to something, judging by the design. "Good afternoon, Naruto-san. I am Hiruzen Sarutobi. I invite you to an event called Blooming Generation. The essence of this event is that the strongest of the Jonin take students from the academy for training, and if you don't mind and want to participate, then I invite you to this event, which will take place today at noon." Why not? Naruto started to leave the house again, when suddenly Kushina met him at the threshold. "Are you back yet?" Kushina asked the departing Naruto. "Yes, but I'm leaving again, and I'll probably come in the evening, so don't lose me." When Naruto met the academy, he felt nostalgic. Passing into the courtyard, he saw the Jonins, who passed their invitations to the receiving shinobi. After giving his invitation, Naruto entered the academy, and everyone in the audience froze when he entered. "And Naruto-san, I see you have received my invitation after all," Hokage said when he met Uzumaki. "Since this is an event, it's a sin not to participate," Naruto said, standing next to the other Jonins near the board. "So, this is the most promising class, so do not hesitate to choose." An ash-haired masked boy approached Naruto, whom he recognized as Kakashi, And this is Naruto-san, our most promising student. He has several techniques in stock, as well as good chakra control. Tempting, Naruto said, rubbing his chin. In the next second, he raised his head and saw a black-haired top lying on the desk, on which there were glasses. Naruto approached him and coughed once, but there was no reaction. A girl sitting next to her with purple stripes on her cheeks began to pull her neighbor. He muttered something unintelligible, and when they began to pull him harder, he raised his head and said, "What's wrong with you, Rin?" She nodded at him behind his back, and when he slowly turned around, he saw Naruto, who raised an eyebrow questioningly. "You're coming with me." Having said that, Naruto walked away, and Obito did not understand what was going on here at all, but all the students, with surprised eyes, told him to follow him. The choice of Uzumaki was no less impressed by the Jonins and Hokage, but only Naruto knew what this Uchiha could do. Naruto took Obito to a clearing, where he stood up against him and asked, "What's your name, you Uchiha Obito?" Obito replied, hesitating a bit. "The goal, become a Hokage." Already immediately, and more confidently answered Uchiha, to which Naruto asked in a menacing voice. "Do you love her?" "Who?" Obito asked. "Rin, if I'm not mistaken. Where are you from?" "It doesn't matter. When you become a Hokage, you will be constantly at work, and you will see your wife occasionally, only in the evenings, and then if you are not called back in case of an emergency. So are you ready to sacrifice your personal life for the sake of Konoha's safety? Are you ready to stay awake day and night for the sake of the well-being of your village?" Obito looked away at this and answered. "I don't know." "Well done, don't repeat my mistakes," Naruto said to himself, and only then continued aloud, "Okay, now attack, I want to test your skills." Obito quickly rushed forward, but he did not understand how in 1 second he was turned back, and got kicked in the ass. "We need to work for a long time, and for a long time," Naruto said, sighing bitterly, and a little regretting that he did not choose Kakashi, who was presented to him on a platter. But no, Naruto Uzumaki is not looking for easy ways. He would tear his ass on simple missions, and take jerks as students, but what can you do? He's like Naruto. Obito flopped down on the grass from exhaustion. Over the past month, he has often wondered if all Uzumaki are like that, or if one of his mentors is such a beast. Although he had to admit, he teaches excellent. He can now confidently fight with any genin, and even with some chunins. Also, his mentor taught him to spend chakra more acceptably, as well as to control it much better. "Obito, come here." Uchiha heard, and got up from his seat, headed towards Naruto. "Today I will teach you Fuina." Obito at first thought he heard it, so when Naruto started to take out the scroll with the basics of Fuin, Obito accepted it with trembling hands, and when he tried to open it, Naruto stopped him. "Is something wrong?" Obito asked, after which Naruto touched his forehead. "I've put mental protection on you. You won't be able to tell anyone about what I'm going to teach you now, and you won't be able to tell anyone in Genjutsu either." Obito at this moment became somehow uncomfortable. He was a little scared, but not because something would happen to him, but because he was afraid of losing the trust he had been given. "Naruto-sensei, can I ask you a question?" Obito asked, looking at the scroll. "Do you want to know why I chose you?" Naruto asked in response, slightly raising an eyebrow, understanding his student. "Yes." Naruto sat down on one knee in front of him and said, "You remind me a little of my childhood, but my childhood ended too soon because of my position. I started training from the age of 3, from 4 I started using ninjutsu, at 5 I started using Fuin at a high level, and at 6 I started creating my own techniques. Well, then it went on." Obito lowered his head guiltily, thinking that he reminded him of the past. "Okay, open the scroll." Naruto was calmly returning home until at one point Mito called out to him. "Is something wrong?" Naruto asked, turning around. "I wanted to talk to you about that Uchiha," Mito answered, walking up to him. "And what do you want to talk about?" Naruto asked, walking slowly forward. "I want to ask if it's wise for you to share your knowledge with Uchiha." Naruto stopped, and slowly turning his head, looked at Mito, narrowing his eyes. "And why do you care who I share my knowledge with?" Mito answered this with a frown. "It's Uchiha." They're all head over heels. Naruto turned to her, and folding his arms at his chest, asked. Then who do you think I should have chosen? Mito looked away at first, but then after looking again, she said loudly, anyone but Uchiha. You're not talking like Uzumaki right now, but like Senju. At this moment, Mito's eyelids twitched, and she filled her hand with chakra, hit Naruto with a scream. I'm Uzumaki. Naruto flew for a long time and beautifully, and after falling, first piercing the roof, Naruto landed on something pleasant. He groaned at first, and moved his head slightly, and determined that it was soft, also wet. When he opened his eyes, he saw that he was lying on a woman's chest, and their owner was, as it turned out, Tsunade, whose whole face turned red from anger or shame. Similarly, having imbued her hand with chakra, she hit Naruto, but not so much, because he didn't even break through the wall, so he left a dent. Naruto looked at her angrily at first, but then, changing his expression to indifference, wiped the blood from his lip, and headed for the exit. You won't even apologize? Tsunade asked, covering her body. Naruto did not turn around in her direction, calmly replied, I did not spy on you, which means I will not ask for an apology. I'm here because of your grandmother, who helped me fly here, so ask her for an apology. Then Naruto headed towards the exit, and halfway there he met Mito. Naruto-sama, I'm sorry, but what is it with you? Mito asked, looking at Naruto's torn and wet clothes. Fell into the women's bath, Naruto replied, and continued on his way, not wanting to talk to her anymore. Please forgive me, I don't. There you are. Mito didn't finish when she heard her granddaughter's voice. She looked at Naruto with anger. No one dares to treat me like that. Tsunade, better not. I tried to dissuade my granddaughter from Mito's suicidal actions, but everything was in vain. No, don't stop me. It's, me. I don't even have the words. So, okay, I challenge you to a fight, here and now. I'm not interested in that, Naruto said, still heading home. So that's it. No wonder the Uzumaki clan was destroyed. Naruto stopped at that moment, and only 7 gods kept him from breaking her neck. How could they survive, if they're prints in words, but in fact a half-educated person can't answer a girl, where there is a whole army? Tsunade expected Naruto to get angry now, but he disappeared, and the next moment Tsunade heard a voice as cold as ice. Don't you dare say that about the Uzumaki clan. Then Naruto hit Senju with his palm, leaving a seal on her. Before you say that, first look at the condition of your clan, Naruto said, and folding the seal, activated the seal on the blonde, which caused Tsunade to scream. Naruto-sama, please don't. I tried to help Tsunade Mito somehow, but suddenly Naruto looked at her, and at that moment she saw that his pupils became vertical, and his eyes turned from blue to blood red. What, do you want the same thing? Naruto asked, looking at Mito, and deactivating the seal on Tsunade. He looked around, and saw that they were surrounded by several ANBU. Naruto covered his eyes with his palm, and after removing them, Mito already saw ordinary eyes. Good luck, Mrs. Senju, Naruto said, looking at Mito, thereby hinting that he had lost confidence in her. Sitting on a bench near the house, Naruto watched the sunset. He knew what he would do next, and what he had in mind. Many would most likely consider immoral, petty, but he had a ready answer to this, or rather, the answer to the question, what would you do with people who brutally killed your beloved in front of your eyes? Who would never hurt a fly in her life, and her end became like this. Naruto closed his eyes and introduced Kushina. How they ran around the field as children, played their first kiss. Thinking about this, Naruto began to see their first meeting. She was a sweet girl who always walked with a daisy behind her ear. At the sight of Naruto, she smiled, but did not dare to approach. But suddenly, these memories are interrupted by how she dies. She struggles with several opponents, but suddenly a sword pierces her back. Then another, and another, and another. Already lying on the ground, she was reaching out to Naruto, and he wanted to approach her, help her, save her, but he was not allowed to do it. This is where the memories end, and Naruto, having gained more anger, entered the house, and still wearing a mask, and changing his appearance, headed for Kiri at full speed. He got there in an hour in Biju mode, and he was very lucky, because no one noticed him. His gaze was riveted by one Anbu, whom Naruto immediately introduced to Genjutsu, and wearing his uniform, headed to the village. He remembered their faces, and it helped him, because he immediately went to the cemetery, and did not lose. 5 out of 8 of those who had a hand in Kushina's death were already feeding worms in the coffin. He was a little upset, but having recovered his spirits again, he said quietly, "No, it's fair to be." He remembered the names of these people, and having created several clones, sent them to search, and at the same time to find survivors. All the information was collected in a couple of hours, and 2 of these people were from the same clan, and 3 more from the same, and the other 2 were non-clan. Naruto, you can't figure out all their descendants. Kurama clearly understood what Jinchuriki wanted to do. Yes, so I'll do a practical one, too, like him. Naruto replied, with a calm voice, you spent so much effort to dissuade Sasuke from this, but now you're becoming like this. You know, if your clan was destroyed because they were preparing an uprising, that's one thing, and if for nothing, that's quite another. Apparently merging with his mind had a very strong effect on you. No. At that moment Naruto took off his mask and looked at the sky, after which it began to rain on Naruto first in small drops. It's always been me. Then he took off the Anbu ammunition, and wearing his mantle, with his mask, created several dozen clones. Let the bloody night begin. Naruto decided to start with the clans, while he sent the clones to deal with those who were without clans. Quietly entering the house, he went upstairs, and opening the bedroom, he saw a man who was hugging his wife in a dream. What the? He managed to say before Naruto could cut his throat. The wife woke up because blood splashed on her. Naruto immediately cut off her head, and leaving through the window, went to the next house. Entering through the backyard, Naruto saw a little girl, and for a moment, he hung a katana over her head. He didn't want to do it, but remembering that the children in Uzushio were also not spared, he cut her in half. At that moment, apparently, the girl's mother came out, and she immediately screamed, and Naruto shut her up, punching her chest. Then he heard the same screams coming from different parts of the village, and therefore decided to use ninjutsu already. House after house, man after man, people were dying and dying. All those shinobi who resorted to help held on for a maximum of 10 seconds, and then they died. Naruto looked at all this, standing on a hill, until he heard the landing behind him. It's Uzushio's ghost, I heard from one of Mizukage Naruto's subordinates. Ah, you're the one who killed the 3rd Raikage, said this time a brunette with long hair, who wore a Mizukage cloak. I didn't think I was such a famous person, Naruto said, drawing his katana. To be honest, I'm not interested in you, I'm only interested in who is hiding under this mask. Having said that, Mizukage folded the seal, and several water dragons began to come out under Naruto. He didn't even budge, and the equipment disappeared. What is it? And though, it doesn't matter, you won't last long. Naruto abruptly heard the sound of something flying towards him behind his back, and ducking down, he saw that it was a decapitator. Sorry for being late, Mizukage-sama, the owner of this sword said, picking it up from the cliff. Then Naruto heard the sound of lightning overhead, and saw that it was a girl with red hair who was flying at him with 2 blades charged with lightning. Naruto only took a step to the side, and when she landed, she directed the lightning towards Naruto, but he only redirected it to others, and Naruto himself squeezed the girl's head and twisted her neck. There is one, there are still 6 left, Naruto said, taking a scroll out of his pocket and sealing the swords. Bastard, said a man with a huge sewing needle, at the end of which was a thread. He quickly surrounded Naruto with a thread, and said, burn in hell. I tried to pull the thread, but suddenly I was instead of Naruto, and Uzumaki himself slightly pulled the needle, and the fog warrior was cut into small pieces. The second one is ready, Naruto said, after which the needle and thread also disappeared from his hands. The thunderbolts reached Naruto's ears, and turning around, he saw a girl with 2 blades on which lightning could be seen. Naruto easily grabbed her by the throat, and crushed her neck. The 3rd one is in place, Naruto said, sealing the blades. Then he arched sharply, and barely had time to notice the explosion tags on the sword. Bye-bye. A man with a blindfold over one eye said, and then there was an explosion, but the enemy was no longer there. I advise you to take a closer look at your weapon, the man heard, and turning around, he saw Naruto, who was looking at the back of the sword. Looking there, the man saw a seal that exploded, leaving only the lower part of his body. The fourth one has arrived. The sword was immediately in his hand. Naruto heard, and jumped very timely, because two swords collided in the place where he had just been standing. Then abruptly raising his head, he saw a white-haired guy who was rushing at him with a two-hilted sword. Shadow cloning, Naruto said, and one of the clones sent a bolt of lightning at the guy, and the second grabbed the falling sword and sealed it in a scroll. Well, that's it, the games are over. Naruto took a katana, abruptly found himself between two swordsmen, and cut off each of their heads, also sealing their swords. Looking around, he couldn't find Mizukage, but looking closer, he saw that he was now helping to destroy clones. Will you kill him? Asked Kurama. No, let him live for now, I've ruined his life already, this night. Looking at how Mizukage fights with several of his clones. What are you going to do next? Asked Kurama, in a sleepy voice. They called me the ghost of Uzushio. And a ghost needs a place to stay. A place where he will live without fear of other people. Naruto replied, thinking a little. Do you want to visit Uzushio? Exactly. Naruto replied, taking one last look at the burning village of mist, before disappearing. I think it's here, Naruto said as he walked through the forest. He saw a seemingly large empty lake, or rather it seemed so. Passing through the water, Naruto crossed an invisible barrier, after which huge walls fell to his eyes. Climbing them, Naruto expected to see huge ruins, but not quite normal houses. Jumping to the ground, Naruto passed by the houses, and saw that there was not a single soul in them. Suddenly, several men appeared in front of his eyes, walking in 3 rows. Naruto was preparing to fight back if they attacked, but they just passed by, ignoring Naruto. Naruto himself noticed that their gazes were empty, as if they were under genjutsu. At the last moment, he noticed that everyone had a whirlpool symbol on the back of their heads. Maybe someone is controlling them through this tag. Kurama suggested yes. Naruto said after looking closely at Rinnegan. He saw that from this mark, there were small threads of chakra that led in one direction. We need to check what's going on here. Be careful. Arriving at the place where many threads were concentrated, he saw a mansion in which Naruto recognized his home. Quietly entering it, Naruto tried to be silent, but suddenly the light in the room turned on, and Naruto heard a voice. Good night, sir, it's been a long time since you left your office. Turning around, Naruto saw a girl in whom he recognized Hinata, only she had white fox ears, and 10 tails, but she looked like she was 20. Hinata? Naruto said with surprise. So now my name is Hinata? The girl asked. What was your name before? Naruto asked. Kushina. You used to call me Kushina before I was reincarnated, the girl replied, smiling sweetly at Naruto. What do you mean reincarnated? Hinata covered herself with tails on this question, and the next second when she lowered them, a young Kushina was standing in front of Naruto. Do you want me to be in this guise? The girl asked, moving her tails prettily. And no, it's better to become a Hinata back, Naruto said, after which she became Hinata again. If you don't mind, I'll go, said the girl, and quietly left, leaving Naruto alone with himself. He began to look around, and saw that the mansion was in very good condition. All the things were in place, even the old photos. Having finished looking around the living room, Naruto climbed the stairs and put his hand on the panel next to the door. Welcome Naruto-sama, the speaker said, after which the door to the room opened. The first thing that caught Naruto's eye was that, unlike the rest of the rooms, it was all covered in dust. There were family portraits, shelves with books and scrolls, a table, and an armchair that was turned towards a large panoramic window. Turning on the light, Naruto went to the chair, then turning it, was slightly scared, saw a human skeleton there. He's obviously been here a long time. Naruto carefully examined his cape, which was surprisingly similar to his, and also in his hands he held a thick notebook with a pen on which it was written Naruto Uzumaki, but he found out who was sitting in front of him without him. Opening the notebook, he realized that it was a diary, so quickly finding the last entry, he began to read. So many years have passed since the attack on Uzushio, so for the past few years I have been afraid that every entry in this diary may be the last. No, I'm not afraid of death, I'm afraid that I won't have time to revive Uzushio. I asked Kushina not to bother me. She works every day, restores the village, and I just stand there like an old tree stump and look at her. Sometimes it seems to me that I see that Kushina in her, but I have already come to terms with the fact that she cannot be returned. This creation has become my pride, and before I could not have thought that I would create it. It would be a little more, and at least a few Uzumaki found would be able to revive the clan, but I never found one in my long wanderings. How pathetic. A couple of decades ago, when I was younger, I thought that if the Uzumaki ruled the world, there would be no such strife, but these are just dreams. I asked Kami, give me a little more time, a little more. The recording ends at this point, after which, tears flowed from Naruto's eyes. You were a great man, my brother, Naruto said, looking at the eye sockets of the skull. Naruto put the remains of the last true Prince Uzumaki in the coffin, and taking the katana, he wanted to put it there, but suddenly the ghost of Uzumaki appeared from the remains, who pushed the katana away. Wiping away his tears, Naruto took him back, and closing the coffin, buried him. Rest in peace Uzumaki. Naruto, I promise, our dream will definitely come true, Uzumaki said, looking at the beautiful night sky. Entering the house, Naruto noticed a door that led down. Walking along the corridors, he noticed an inscription among the doors, Armory. Entering there, Naruto turned on the light, and saw a huge arsenal of weapons, in perfect condition. Most likely, they are made of stainless metal, Naruto said, picking up a chain whose ends could be divided and connected when used correctly. Taking a scroll out of his pocket, he opened the swords, and after placing them, sealed the chain in the same scroll. Coming out of the arsenal, he saw the inscription on the door in the next room. Library, it read, and entering there, he saw huge shelves with scrolls, books, parchments, etc. Forbidden techniques. Naruto read the inscription, going to one of the shelves. Destruction of the opponent's chakra circulation system. Interesting, Naruto said, opening the scroll. This technique is designed to destroy the opponent's internal chakra circulation system. It acts on the person on whom the seal is placed, or on the area. The area depends on the amount of chakra invested in the technique. Warning, if used incorrectly, the technique can damage the SCC and the creator, so we advise you to carefully read the instructions for using the technique. Yes. And many people also believe that Fuinjutsu is for jerks, so no one uses it. After spending some more time in the library, Naruto went into the shower, and after washing, went towards the bedroom. There he saw Hinata lying on the bed. I've warmed your bed for you, she said, getting up from him. Do you want anything? No, Hinata, can you answer my questions? Of course, my lord. How long have I been sitting in my office? 2 years, 10 months, 24 days, 8 hours, 42 minutes, and 10 seconds, the brunette replied, bowing sweetly. Yeah, it's a bit long. And who are the people who walk the streets? Robbers, thieves, architects, lovers of easy money. I see, Naruto replied, lowering his head. Should I leave? Hinata asked. No, it's better, sleep with me tonight. The girl nodded, and began to untie the knot of her kimono. What are you doing? Naruto asked, looking at the naked girl. Well, I assume that by these words you mean the physiological need for close contact between bodies, the girl answered, approaching the bed. No, I meant to sleep, just to sleep together. What's the point of that? The girl asked, sitting on the bed, and covered with her tails. This is already a spiritual need. Just sleep, Naruto said, and after 15 minutes, opening his eyes, he saw that the girl was not sleeping. Why aren't you sleeping? I am a creature from the chakra, I don't need sleep, she replied. Naruto again closed his eyes, and hugging her, felt a familiar smell. That's what Hinata had smelled like in the past, but he knew it wasn't her. Throwing these thoughts aside, Naruto began to wonder. How did he survive the attack on Uzushio? What did he do after that? How could he break the blood bond with the arachnids if he survived? Then Naruto turned around and looked at the diary, which was preserved in good condition. I hope I'll find questions there, Naruto said, putting his hand on the notebook, after which he fell asleep like a baby. The 5th day after the fall of Uzushio. The last thing I remembered was how my mom and I tried to fill up with Willow Shinobi, and they did it. Mom managed to cover us with a barrier, but that didn't make it any easier for us. We had deep wounds, but mine were fatal. I even wonder myself how I lasted so long. In general, my mother came up to me and began to treat the wounds, but everything was unsuccessful. It started to get dark in my eyes, and the last thing I saw was my mom folding seals. Live, son, live, I heard, and then plunged into darkness. I realized that I was dead, but it was like in a dream, and when I woke up, I realized that at the moment I was sitting leaning against a collapsed wall. All my wounds had healed, which meant that I had at least spent a couple of days here. I really wanted to eat and drink, but all these feelings disappeared when I saw my dead body in front of me. Due to the fact that it was very cold here, the body did not change at all, except that the skin was pale. I immediately began to feel my body, and after looking closely, I realized that I was in my mother's clothes. I immediately created a clone, and saw my normal body, in my mother's form. When I approached my dead body, I realized that my mother had used some kind of technique to save me. I looked at my old body again, then the exact same copy of the body in my mother's clothes, and I immediately felt sick after that. When I got out of hiding, I saw the smoke from the battle, which was still coming, as well as bodies. It took me about 2 days to collect all the bodies and bury them, and now, sitting in front of my parents' graves, I do not know what to do next. Naruto, sitting on the couch at this moment, and drinking coffee, squeezed the material of his cape. He tried to be as calm as possible, but the anger was bursting out of him. He looked at Hinata standing next to him, who somehow calmed him down. She smiled sweetly, and brought him more coffee when her master drank another cup. How can you have such an appearance if the owner of this body has not yet been born? Naruto asked when she brought another cup. My body is connected to your consciousness. That is, my appearance will change, depending on your sympathy for people, but also I can't read your memories. Naruto nodded, and began to read on. The 6th day after the fall of Uzushio. I signed my mother's grave with my name, to disguise myself better. Those who attacked the village clearly knew about the personalities controlling the village, since several shinobi were concentrated on the strongest of us. I also blocked my memories, starting with rebirth, wait, I didn't understand how we were able to read his memory then? Kurama suddenly asked, stopping him from reading. Technology has 2 sides. Naruto replied, and? Do you want to sort everything out? Yes. Imagine the door to the room, which he closed with a seal, that is, with a key. In this room were his past memories, which we got into when we teleported. And we can't leave this room because the door is locked from the outside, where the rest of the memories are. Okay, that's understandable, but how could he break the draft contract? The contract is signed not only by the spirit, but also by the body, and since his old body died, most likely he could not sign the contract again. Why? Apparently there was a conflict between the body and the spirit, and this became the catalyst. Maybe. Okay, let's move on. Obito was currently standing in a clearing, practicing Fuin techniques. He stayed up all night to surprise his sensei, but he was very late now. Where are you, sensei? Obito asked himself, falling on the grass. Maybe he abandoned you, realizing that you are untrained. Uchiha heard, and turning around, saw Kakashi, who was sitting on a branch above him. Sensei didn't leave me because I was just starting to get things right, Obito said, contradicting the ash-haired man. Well, Kakashi said, and coming down from the tree, he said, if you are not going to train, Then please clear the clearing. Then he took a book out of his pocket and started reading. Obito was angry at such impudence, but all of it evaporated when his sensei appeared in front of him. "Hi Obito," Naruto said. "Good afternoon sensei," Obito replied, and saw him take a scroll out of his pocket. Then, opening it, he put his hand on the seal in the center, after which a chain appeared from it. "Here you go, it's a gift for you," Naruto said, handing him the weapon. "It is chakra conductive, and also very hard, and made of stainless steel." Obito took the weapon in his hands, and said, "A little heavy." "Thank you sensei, I just wanted to show you something." After saying that, Obito divided the chains into two, and sealed each end on his shoulders. "You put the seals on yourself, not bad," Naruto said, looking at the symbols on his shoulders. "Thanks," Obito said, and putting on a shirt, showed his sensei how they are drawn into the body. "I advise you to look at their blades," Naruto said. And Obito looked at the blades and saw familiar seals in them. "They won't disappear, no matter how much you don't use them." Obito nodded, took the tip of the chain, threw it into a tree, and then ran a chakra over it, which caused it to explode. "Wow," Obito said, looking at the crater that came from the explosion. "I hope I didn't make a mistake about you," Naruto said, looking at Obito. "I promise sensei, I won't let you down," Obito said happily, smiling at him. "Good afternoon Naruto-sama," the blonde man heard behind his back, and turning around, he saw Makoto. "What brings you here, Lady Makoto?" Naruto asked, folding his arms at his chest. "I've been ordered to keep an eye on you, and I don't know what you can do with a representative of our clan," Makoto replied, holding the same calm gaze. Well, Naruto said, and began to watch his student push. "What are you doing this for?" "I want to spend a chakra on it," Obito replied, pausing slightly. "Each element has its own peculiarity." Naruto began to speak, approaching Obito, and exposing his katana. "For example, to draw the wind chakra along the blade, you need to create a small friction between the tips of each side." Naruto demonstrated the wind chakra carried out on a katana, after which he cut down one tree, and with it fell 5 people next to him. Also, each element gives its own characteristics to the weapon. For example, I just showed you how the wind style works. What did you understand from this? Obito carefully looked at the tree trunks lying on the ground. "The wind style gives the weapon strength, and increases the attack radius. Am I right?" Giving his student a nod, Naruto returned the katana to its place, after which chains appeared from his wrists. "Since your fire style is the basis, it gives you special protection, and a lot of battle options." Step back a couple of meters. When Obito stood next to Makoto, Naruto imbued the chains with the fire chakra, after which they caught fire. Quickly uncoupling the chains, Naruto showed an approximate style of fighting with weapons, and the result was a half-burned clearing, with black grass. Also, the style can give options for special attacks, which we will deal with tomorrow. "Will we make it?" Obito asked. "To what? How to what?" "Tomorrow is the end of the competition. I will fight with the other students. The prize fund is 100,000 Ri. The third one didn't tell me about it. Shall we ask him?" Obito asked the question, to which Naruto shook his head. "If he didn't tell me, it means he had reasons for it, so we'd better train. Now go home, get yourself some food, water, and a change of clothes." "And what are the clothes for?" "Make it fireproof." Obito was now lying on the grass, looking at the moon. She was very beautiful today. At that moment, Obito heard a ticking from his teacher's side, and looking there, he saw that he was now looking at the clock. "Go get some rest, tomorrow is an important day, and you need to get some sleep," Naruto said, and disappeared in a flash. Walking through the streets of Konoha, Naruto found a pastry shop. Entering there, he ordered one vanilla cake, and after waiting, paid for it and left without saying a word. Then, entering the Yamanaka flower shop, he ordered 18 lilies. "Happy birthday Hinata," Naruto said, sitting in the clearing, to which she often once came. "If only I could." Naruto did not finish further, but only cried. He had a huge lump stuck in his throat. Guilt overwhelmed him for not keeping his promise to Niji. "Naruto-sama?" The blonde man heard a familiar voice behind him, and turning around, he saw Hanari. "Is something wrong?" "What is it?" she asked, sitting down next to him. "No, it's fine," Naruto replied, wiping away his tears. "And who is Hinata?" Hanari asked, tilting her head slightly to the side to get a better look at his face. "I don't want to talk about it," Naruto replied, looking at the stream ahead. "Why? Was she dear to you?" "Yes," Naruto answered rudely, frowning slightly. Then calming down, coming to himself, and sighing heavily, he said, "Hinata Hyuga is my first love." To say that Hanari was in shock at that moment is like saying nothing. She knew that Naruto Uzumaki was married to a Uzumaki girl, but she wouldn't be surprised if he had mistresses. But the fact that he loved Hyuga somehow didn't fit in her head. "Did you know her well?" "Yes, not bad. She was from the senior branch." "Did you understand this by the absence of a seal on his forehead?" "Yes." Naruto at that moment raised his head and began to inspect the clearing. It was in this place that she collected flowers as a child, or just rested. What happened to her? Naruto at this moment hugged his knees, and lowering his head on them, answered. "She gave her life for me. She died in my arms." Then Hanari started to hear him sobbing. He was in a lot of pain, and that's why Hanari somehow, without even realizing herself, hugged him. Logically speaking, Hanari concluded that the girl was 18 when she died. She could tell by the number of violets. Looking at these flowers, Hanari began to close her eyes, and slowly fall asleep, leaning on Naruto's shoulder. When she woke up, Hanari realized that she was lying on the grass, and Naruto was not there. Getting up from her seat, washing in the stream, and shaking her clothes, Hanari headed towards the clan quarter. It was crowded because everyone was going to watch the tournament right now, but she didn't care about it right now. When she entered the house, she saw her father sitting at the table, drinking tea. "Good morning, Mrs. Hanari. Would you like something?" the girl from the younger branch asked, walking up to the girl who sat down in front of her father. "Tea, please," the girl replied, after which her maid disappeared in a flash. "Did you find out anything?" her father asked after taking a sip of tea. "Yes. Mr. Uzumaki was in a relationship with Hyuga at one time." "You're late, Obito," Naruto said, looking at the Uchiha catching his breath. "Sorry sensei, I just had to do some very important things." "Is the name of these cases by any chance Kohara Ren?" Naruto teased, at which his student sulked. "Well, okay. Did you take everything you needed with you?" Naruto asked, to which he nodded. "Great, well, good luck." Naruto put his hand on Obito's shoulder and smiled. "I promise sensei, I will do my best." Then Uchiha left, and headed towards the crowd, where he was giving his speech to the Hokage. "If all participants are ready, then I will read out the rules. You are all heading to the Forest of Death. There you will see a lot of obstacles in the form of animals, plants, but the most important opponent for you will be yourself. After you enter, in an hour, the barrier will narrow, and everyone who touches this barrier will appear here. This means that the student has dropped out of the competition. The winner is the one who comes out of the barrier last, and it is he who will receive 100,000 Ri. Also in the forest, you will find treasures with weapons. And now, if you're all ready, fill out the forms and good luck." "You can handle it, Obito," Naruto said softly, and Obito nodded. Looking at him entering the forest, Obito quickly began to prepare traps. He was not afraid of opponents, but precautions still need to be maintained. Within a few hours, he only met a couple of dumbass who fell into his traps. Throwing them out of the zone, Obito began to wait for the others, but no one appeared, and the zone was getting narrower and narrower. In the end, he had to get out of hiding himself, and improvise. Heading into the forest, he barely managed to dodge the kunai flying at him. When he stood on the tree, he turned around abruptly, as sensei had taught him, and kicked the opponent's stomach. Then he heard a couple of others of his age flying at him, and suddenly images of their attacks began to pop up before his eyes. Quickly dodging, Obito unsealed the chains, and tying the hands of the two opponents, threw them aside. The big guy whom he laid down first, but he quickly rehabilitated, and caught his comrades. "Fire style, fireball," Obito said, and pretended that he was collecting seals, and they thought that a fire technique would fly at them, folded the seals, and created a stone wall. Obito grinned at this, and stuck the chain blades into this wall, after which the seals were activated, and the explosion smashed the stone wall, and the three opponents hit the barrier, after which they disappeared. Hearing the sound of lightning, Obito lunged to the right, and barely dodged Kakashi's attack. "I didn't think you'd learn that," Hatake said, standing in front of Uchiha. The brunette grinned. "This time I will be the winner." In the next second, Obito noticed another opponent trying to attack Kakashi from behind, and Kakashi himself rushed forward, feeding kunai with lightning. In response to this, Obito tied his hand with a chain, after which the lightning absorbed into the chain, and Obito directed the second blade at another opponent into his shoulder, and then an explosion, because of which Kakashi flew into the barrier, and Obito himself remained standing in place, realizing that he had just taken a man's life, and the winner, Obito Uchiha, Hokage exclaimed, standing next to Obito and Naruto, and holding a huge check in his hands. Naruto honestly didn't care about money, he was pleased with the condition of Obito, the kind of which was, let's say, SOSO. "If you don't mind, I'll take it," Naruto said, waiting for the end of the ceremony, and taking Obito to the landfill. "What happened?" Naruto asked, looking at Obito, and his gaze was confused. I don't, it was an accident, did not want, this." Every word was pronounced by the fur, and Naruto took Obito by the cheeks, held the lightning chakra over him. "Calm down." "Why yes," Obito replied, now looking at Naruto with lively eyes. "Obito, it's not your fault." "No, it's my fault. If I had done it differently, he would have been fine. Firstly, it was self-defense, secondly, you would have had to kill sooner or later anyway, but he was innocent. He was still young, he had his whole life ahead of him. Remember, Obito, there are no completely innocent saints. We all have sins. I also killed a lot, both guilty and innocent, and even small children. I did it because I was intoxicated with a thirst for revenge, and you killed one, saved the other." "You say he tried to hurt Kakashi?" "He approached him from behind. I pulled it and then Obito fell silent, remembering what had happened. Imagine that Rin was in his place. You would have fixed the situation." Obito thought even harder after that, and after a minute of reflection, shook his head. "Here. No matter how innocent your opponent is, always show composure. He's fighting for his family, just like you. Would you kill more innocents if her life depended on it?" Obito lowered his head, and clenching his fists, began to think about the answer. "Yes," Obito replied, looking up sharply, after which Naruto saw in his eyes a Sharingan with one Tomoda. "Great. And now let's go, wash your victory." "And the first awakening," Naruto said, turning around and walking towards the exit of the polygon. What kind of awakening are you talking about?" Obito asked, to which Naruto pointed to the rivers, and after looking closely, Obito found himself with a Sharingan with one volume. Getting up from his knees, Obito followed Sensei, and being behind him, his face lit up with a small smile. Sarura was now walking home from the memorial of the third. She respected him very much, and not only her. Half the village went to his grave every day, and left a flower, even though more than a month had passed. Sarura suddenly remembered the man who killed Raikage, and she was filled with anger. Pausing for a moment, she calmed herself down, and going home, taking a towel, went to the shower, but suddenly noticed the man she had just remembered. Naruto was lying on her bed, and when he realized that she had paid attention to him, he said, "You read interesting books." He showed her the cover of the book, where it was written 100 Ways to Seduce a Man. "Give it back." Sarura abruptly approached him, and snatching the book, put it back in its place, then turning to her guest, asked, "What are you doing here? Have you come to kill someone again?" "No, I've come to offer you something." "So what?" Sarura asked, folding her arms at her rather big chest. "I want to control Kumo, and I suggest you become part of my little plan." From such a statement, Sarura clutched her stomach and laughed. "Why are you kidding me?" Sarura asked, moving away a little. Naruto got up from his seat, and began to approach Sarura, and her ardor abruptly subsided. "Do you think I look like a person who would joke about this?" Naruto asked, slowly approaching her. "Don't come near me," Sarura said, and threw a kunai in his direction, but he just grabbed it in flight and sent it back, hitting the blonde's cheek, leaving a small cut. And what will happen to me if I do come up? Naruto asked. And when the girl tried to make a move, he grabbed her wrists and pressed them against the wall, then lifted them, grabbed them with one hand, and with the other slowly led them over the body. He slowly brought his face closer to her, which caused her to turn away, and Naruto only ran his tongue over the wound, after which it seemed as if it did not exist. If you agree, then you will get everything, Naruto whispered in her ear, sometimes kissing her neck, and then felt that she stopped resisting. I will love you, and I will never leave you like the brute who once abandoned your mother. I will be there for you whenever you wish. For this you only need to say yes and no, she replied. And the next second she moaned. Are you sure? Naruto asked, bending down and biting her hardened nipple through the fabric. And no. DD, I will also help you find this bastard who abandoned your mother, you just need to say yes, shouted Sarura, and Naruto was glad that he managed to put a seal on the sound insulation. That's great, Uzumaki said, and when he pulled away, they entered the room after knocking. Ah, Naruto-kun, I was surprised to see you here, Yujito said with a smile, and good evening to you, too, Mrs. Ni. How are you, after your arrival? It's just great, the older blonde answered, holding a basin with things in her hands. I'm glad you're okay. I'll talk to your daughter for 5 minutes, and then I'll leave. Okay, what do you mean I'll leave? You are a welcome guest in our house, so I can't let you go until you try my cooking. Thank you, Mrs. Yujito, Naruto said, and then she left. Let's say I agree. What do you want to do? I want to nominate you for the post of Raikage. Naruto Sasabo surprised the blonde with this statement. You're definitely kidding me. And how are you going to do that? And anyway, you didn't ask if I wanted it. I know perfectly well that you don't want this, but the result requires sacrifice. I need you to become a Raikage. An excellent candidate. A sharp mind, strength, an indomitable character, and most importantly, a Jinchuriki who can protect the village, and besides, I don't see others more worthy. The third is dead, his heirs are still too young, he didn't leave anyone behind, and the rest are just afraid that I will return, and I will return if someone besides you becomes them. Why do you need all this? Sarura asked, depending on how she thought of the madman. I want there to be no more warriors. I will make sure that in every village I have my own people loyal to me, or rather women. It is from them that my plan will consist. What, you want to seduce an influential woman in each village? Exactly. So, will you come with me? Sarura looked away, but then looked at him and answered. I'll give you an exact answer only when you help me find that bastard. Naruto smiled insidiously, then nodded confidently. Lying at home on the couch, Naruto studied the diary of Prince Uzumaki. He found out that after he left Uzushio, he traveled a lot, mostly trying to find Uzumaki, but everything was in vain. Not even everyone knew who Uzumaki were, and the fact that you would find them was a real miracle. A miracle, exactly. Naruto got out of bed, and putting on his cape and mask, changed the color of his hair, then disappeared from the room, and then a minute later there was a knock on the room and asked, Naruto-sama, are you busy? Mito asked as she entered. She began to look around, and a book with the name Naruto Uzumaki fell on her eyes. After looking around again, and making sure that there was no one else, she carefully took the diary, and began to read the lines. After reading the first page, she said with horror in her eyes, how, she wanted to continue reading, but her conscience wouldn't let her. At that moment, her fear on her face turned into a smile, after which she put down the book and quietly left the room. There was one boy sitting in a dark, damp, and cold cave right now. He had red hair, and his eyes were not visible because of this hair. He had only a light t-shirt and shorts, and no shoes at all. He thought it was his last hours. His stomach rumbled violently, and it was getting dark in his eyes. He closed his eyes for just a second, then opened them again. He saw a guy with red hair and a mask in front of him. The guy handed him a loaf of bread, and after accepting it, the boy quickly ate it in a few seconds. Let's go home, Nagato, the guy said, extending his hand, and when Nagato touched him, they both disappeared. Blow, another blow. Naruto dodged Nagato's attacks, and the newly arrived Uzumaki could not get Naruto in any way. That's enough. You've strained your eyes too much. It's too early for you to use them at this level, Naruto said, stopping Nagato. He nodded, catching his breath, and abruptly clutched his eyes in pain. Let's go home, Naruto-sama. Why me? Nagato asked, walking next to Naruto. Well, there are many other children besides me, but you brought only me here. There is no one else here except you, Mrs. Hinata, and these people, or zombies. Naruto was silent for a couple of seconds, but then he answered, you asked the right question. Why did I choose you? Because, firstly, you are Uzumaki, secondly, your eyes are the strongest dojutsu in the world, thirdly, I do not have time to do things alone, and I need people loyal to me. Nagato considered his words, then asked another question, are there any other people you trust? Yes, there are two of them so far. One boy of your age from the Uchiha clan, I trust him as well as you, and another Uzumaki girl, but she only keeps one of my secrets for now. And so, nothing else so special. Why didn't you bring her here, too? You were alone, and no one was watching you, and she is being monitored around the clock on the territory of the village. Therefore, taking her away, I would have felt irreparable consequences, Naruto replied, opening the door of his mansion. Do you want anything? Hinata asked when she met Naruto. Tea, curry, dessert, and a relaxing shoulder massage. I'll cook everything, Nagato said, and ran towards the kitchen, and Hinata went up to Naruto and started massaging his shoulders. He threw his head back from the pleasant sensations, and slightly, for a split second, felt like part of a small family. Appearing in Konoha, Naruto went into the kitchen, and saw Mito and Kushina there. Good morning, Naruto-sama. I wanted to talk to you about that incident, Mito said, but Naruto only went to the refrigerator, took out the milk from there, and poured it into a glass, started drinking until he heard, the fact is that I accidentally read your diary. Naruto choked on this, and looked at Mito angrily, said, what did you do? From such a look, both Uzumaki Kunoichi felt uncomfortable. I read your diary, just one page. Naruto heard the answer, and grabbing her by the wrist, dragged her into his room. Then closing the door, Naruto pressed her against the wall, and said softly, since when do you have the right to rummage through my things? He was just lying on the bed, and well, Naruto moved away from her, and closing his eyes, began massaging his temples. Maybe we should tell her the truth. Kurama suggested, to which Uzumaki objected, you fell from an oak tree, telling her the truth is more expensive for yourself, and besides, I have lost confidence in her. Naruto, I know Mito better than you, and believe me, she is now ready to do anything to apologize. Have you thought what her attitude towards me will be like when she finds out the truth? And what if she just sends me on foot? Erotic, if she finds out that in fact I am not the prince of the Uzumaki clan, but only a victim of the apologies of one Uchiha? Then let me do it, from the mouth of a third person, the information sounds truer. Are you sure you can handle it? Well, I'll try. Mito was now holding her breath, looking at the blonde man who moved away from her, and began massaging his temples, and suddenly stopped abruptly, and at one point from his mouth, she heard a familiar voice. Long time no see, Mito. Uzumaki, Kurama said in Naruto's body, and abruptly pulling the girl to him, grabbed her hand and pressed it to him. How are you feeling? What did you do to Naruto? The thing itself? Mito asked, hissing in pain. Oh, what obscene words, from the wife of the very first Hokage. Naruto said with mockery in his voice, and what are you waiting for? Do what you have to do. Yes, I'm going to do exactly what I have to do. Tsukuyami. The space around Mito swam, and the next second she was already standing in the clearing, looking at the huge kubi. To this day I regret what I did. I heard Mito's voice behind me, and turning around, I saw Naruto/Kyubi. So it didn't seem to me then, when we quarreled, I really saw you in his eyes. No, then you just made him angry, and my power leaked out along with the anger that he was emitting. Then why are you showing me this now? Mito asked, looking at the nine-tailed man who was ravaging the village. Not that, we need to rewind a little. In the next second, Mito was looking at Kyubi, at whose feet two people were standing pierced, protecting one small child. Now, you will see the story of the greatest man I knew. Over the next few hours, Mito watched Naruto Uzumaki's life piece by piece, watching every moment of his life, and at the last moment, when they began to come out of the coffin, her surroundings swam again. And she ended up in the sewer, and now, you have to make a choice: either you follow him and become his faithful companion, or you refuse, and finally disappear from his life. As Uzumaki, a scroll appeared in front of Mito, where it was necessary to put a seal in blood. She started to approach him slowly as she heard the warning: I say right away, signing this contract, you should be ready to die for it. You become his tool, which he can sacrifice for the sake of his unfitness. Mito hesitated for a second, and stopping in front of the scroll, asked a question: Are you ready to do everything possible for him? I'm ready for anything, Biju answered honestly, after which Mito bit her finger and wrote her name on the scroll. Well, that's nice, good, I'm returning the consciousness of the owner. Then Mito found herself back in the same room, and Naruto took his hand out of his eyes and asked, What were you talking about? Mito looked at him questioningly and said, Oh, didn't you hear? Kurama plunged you into genjutsu, and I remained in my subconscious, so I couldn't hear your conversation in any way, although because you call me, he didn't finish much for you. The blonde man came up to the table, and poured himself some water, drank it in one gulp. I know everything about you. Naruto Uzumaki is the son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, and Uzumaki Kushina, the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed. He became the hero of the village at the age of 16, and the hero of the whole world at 17, twice. The only Jinchuriki Kubi, Kurama, his name is Kurama, corrected Naruto. Mito, yes, the only Jinchuriki Kurama who was able to establish contact with him. He was single, never married, and his beloved girlfriend Hinata Hyuga died 2 years after the end of the Fourth War. At the mention of Hinata's name, Naruto squeezed the glass in his hand so hard that it broke into pieces and entered the flesh. Go on, Naruto said, taking the shards out of his hand. Captain Anbu, with 5 years of experience, continued Mito, sweating profusely, and swallowing a lump in her throat, and also Hokage with a 15-year-old. Mito stopped abruptly, because Naruto began to slowly approach her, with a glass in his hand, but the records say that he taught the grandson of the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Konohamaru. Is that all? At the cold look, and the same cold question, Mito just nodded. There's something you missed, Naruto said, handing her a glass of water, which got a few drops of his blood, which made the water have a slightly scarlet color. After a little hesitation, and under his cold gaze, Mito took and emptied the glass, returning it to the blonde. I became the most cruel Hokage in history, if not the Kage of the whole world at all. Okay, let's skip this moment. Come out, I want to rest. But I thought you would show me Uzushio. Naruto only laughed a little at this, and returning the cold face back, looked at Mito, and asked, Do you think that you can see Uzushio only by signing a contract? This still needs to be earned. Wait, but I was born there, I lived there, it was my home. The key word was, understand. I still don't know what your attitude towards me will be, and won't you run to tell Hiruzen everything? And now come out, I need to rest. This time Mito did not object, but Kushina entered the room instead. Naruto-kun, I wanted to warn you that I'm going on a mission now, and I won't be here for a couple of days, so you can cook dinner for yourself. Yeah, good luck. Take care of yourself. When Kushina came out, Naruto changed his clothes and went to bed, but he was not destined to see pleasant dreams. What's the plan? Naruto asked, standing next to Sasuke, and looking at the man in white, whose skin had turned black and white from a dose of chakra. Pathetic people, the man said, and began to direct various techniques at them. One of them almost hit Naruto, but Sasuke screamed, Look out, pushed the Hokage away, and took over the technique himself. His skin became paler, and veins began to glow and swell along it. Oh, you beast! Naruto flew at the opponent with a Rasen shuriken in his hand, and when his opponent wanted to repel him, Sasuke forcefully squeezed his hand, and did not let him dodge, which made him take a blow, and flew for a long time, after which he turned into dust, but Naruto did not observe this. He approached Sasuke and started to treat his wounds, but all he could do was restore his skin, and the rest, Sasuke, hold on, Naruto said, and returning back to the village, he told the doctors to do everything possible, but they just dropped the case without even starting, saying that he didn't have long left. And after that day, his life changed, thanks to this Uchiha. Naruto fucking wake up. Kurama yelled strongly in his subconscious, and Jinchuriki only involuntarily groaned and asked, Ku, what are you doing? Turn on your sensory abilities, and you'll find out. Naruto entered the hermit mode, and felt that the power of another Kurama was bursting out. Cursing to himself, Naruto got dressed, and quickly followed this chakra, after which, when he came to the place, he saw how Kushina with 4 tails smashes everything into splinters. Naruto-sama, the blonde man heard from behind, and turning around, he saw Naya, who was standing next to the wounded Minato. What happened? Naruto asked, walking up to them. Sensei and I split up and headed in different directions, and suddenly we were surrounded, and then Minato and I heard Kushina scream. And so Sarutobi said, pointing to Kushina, already with 5 tails, take care of him, I'll deal with Kushina. Naruto headed towards Kushina, and saw how she was holding the lifeless body of one shinobi, and then seeing Naruto, she had a 6th tail, and her body began to envelop bones, and she herself began to create a fireball in her mouth. Dodging the technique, Naruto folded several seals, and said, Makuto, the great tree dragon. A dragon from a tree appeared from under the ground, and squeezed the enraged Uzumaki, but she only tore the tree to pieces. Ku, don't forget to remind me to practice the style of the tree later. Exposing his katana, Naruto quickly appeared in front of the girl, and stuck the katana in her stomach, thereby angering her. I'll kill you. Kushina suddenly screamed, and a Bija lady began to form in her mouth. Let's not do this. Naruto pushed the technique back, clamped her mouth, and with a katana he began to absorb the Biju chakra. What is it? What's going on? Naruto began to hear Kurama's voice, who was sitting in Kushin, and you don't dig in, and then everything will go smoothly. Replied another Kurama sitting in Naruto. When Biju's veil had slid down to the 1st level, Naruto took out his katana. Sensei, how are you? Naya came up to Naruto, along with Minato, who had already recovered, and Tsukumo, who was helping him. Everything is fine, and now let's go back, then tell me everything. Under Naruto's feet, symbols began to appear, which appeared to everyone, and after the glow, disappeared as if they had never been. So, here, carefully, be careful, you're not putting a bag of potatoes. Naruto wanted to kill this half-finished doctor who told him how and what to do. I think we'll go report to the Hokage about the completed task, Tsukumo said, leading his students. Yes, the end. Aha. Naruto suddenly felt dizzy, and then he threw up on the floor, and a second later his eyes hurt like hell, and touching them, he saw blood, after which he lost consciousness. Ms. Mito, of course I understand that you respect Mr. Naruto, but it would be better if you gave him to me. After all, we would be better able to examine him and put him on his feet. Naruto would have recognized this old proper-zenny voice out of 1,000. The blonde wanted to get up himself and look at this conversation, but he felt a blindfold over his eyes. No, Danzo, Tsunade said that he will recover in a couple of days, so it would be better if I personally look after them at this time. Then Naruto heard the old bastard's displeasure, and then his footsteps. He's gone, don't worry, Mito said as she entered the room. Thank you. And where is Kushina? To your left. Naruto pulled his hand in this direction, and felt how he touched the tender cheek. And by the way, we're at your house. I was still able to beg you two off, but I'll have to keep the bandage on for a while. I see. So everyone knows about my eyes at the moment. Yes, and even more so Uchiha. These narcissists went nuts when they found out about your eyes. I drove them away from here for 3 hours. They also demanded to take a blood test from you to find out if the blood of the Uchiha clan flows in you. Damn, that's exactly what I was afraid of. But although I have one idea. Naruto lay down on the star-shaped bed. What idea are we talking about? Mito asked, sitting on a chair near the bed. Did a girl named Mikoto visit Kushina? Mito first raised an eyebrow, began to remember, and then nodded, said, I refused her. I rather chased you away, judging by your tone. Mito grinned, but then went to Naruto. covered him with a blanket. Rest, tomorrow they will come to you very much and very often. Naruto's peaceful sleep was disturbed by Kushina, who woke up and began asking what happened to her, blaming herself for all mortal sins, and in general almost killed herself after learning what Naruto had done for her, and in what condition he is now. Naruto himself was quietly smiling from this, but suddenly his joy was replaced by fear, because he felt like his house was now surrounded by ninjas. Holding the two girls' mouths, he put his finger to his lip, hinting that they now need to be quieter, and at this time he got up from his seat, took a katana, and went out into the corridor. The girls were sitting quietly at this time, and almost screamed when I heard a scream, and saw blood from the opening. Then another scream and another, until everything subsided. 15 minutes passed. Then they heard footsteps, but fortunately Naruto, who had blood all over his clothes, entered the room. He approached them, and touching each of them, teleported to Uzushio. Naruto-sama, are you alright? Nagato immediately appeared in the room, who sensed something was wrong. Yes, Nagato, I'm fine. Having said that, Naruto almost threw up again. Yes, I can see how well you are. Nagato helped Naruto to lie down on the bed, and then Hinata appeared in the room. What happened? Hinata asked, touching Naruto's head with both hands and running a healing chakra over them. Danzo happened. Uzumaki replied, relaxing from pleasant feelings. Then you shouldn't go back to Konoha anymore, Nagato offered, but Naruto refused. No, Danzo is such a creature that will use any methods to achieve a goal. If necessary, he will grab Obito, Hanari, Tsunade, and others to lure me out. You can't risk their lives. And moreover, they have most likely noticed the disappearance of Kushina, and are now looking for her. And what do you suggest? Kushina asked the question, which Naruto couldn't answer for a while. What's that? It is necessary to destroy this old man, Nagato suggested, but he was immediately interrupted by Naruto. No, you can't kill Danzo. At that moment, everyone looked at Naruto questioningly as if he were a fool. What are you talking about, Naruto? He wanted to kill you. He sacrificed the interests of one person for the benefit of others. Any ruler would have done the same in his place, including me. But his death won't affect anything. That's exactly what will affect. The Root is a secret organization that cleans not only inside the village, but also outside it. A lot of their agents are spread across different countries, and without this organization, Konoha will become blind and vulnerable. And why do you care about the fate of Konoha? You can live happily ever after here, right? Kushina did not understand the purpose and motives of her neighbor at all, because this is the place where I was born, grew up, and found friends. What? In what sense was born? What do you mean grown up? Is it too early for you to know about this? Mito said. Okay, do you have a plan? Naruto nodded at this question, and removed the blindfold from his eyes. Yes, there is, and I know how to use it. Stay here and keep an eye on Kushina, and if I don't come back, then I leave the protection of the village to you and Hinata. I'll instruct Obito next. Well, wish me luck. You're crazy, Kushina said instead of luck. Yes, I know. Naruto went to the bedside table, and took out a pendant that shimmered with different colors. Taking it, Naruto disappeared, and good luck flashed through the thoughts of everyone who was in the room. Coming out of the shower, Obito was extremely thoughtful. On the one hand, he was glad in a sense, because if his sensei has a Sharingan, then he could teach him how to use it correctly, and on the other, where did he get it from? But all these thoughts were interrupted when his mouth was clamped by hands that came out of the shadows, and an ice-cold voice whispered, I'm Obito, calm down. Naruto let him go, and when Obito pulled away, he saw that Naruto's eyes were hidden behind a blindfold. Sensei? What's the matter with you? Why did you sneak into my room, Obito? What happened? It was heard from behind the door. Nothing, Dad, I just couldn't get something. Are you sure? Can you help, or can you handle it yourself? Yes, Dad, I can handle it myself. Alright. When the man left, Naruto replied, there is no time to explain, now every minute is precious to us, so listen carefully. Naruto took an envelope out of his pocket, and put it on Obito's hand, and then took out a pendant in which the symbols glowed. If these symbols go out before midnight, Then take this letter and go to the head of the Uchiha clan. Give it to him, and if he doesn't want to read it, tell him that information about the root is collected here. He will read it right away. I don't understand what's going on. I promise, if I come back, I'll explain everything to you. And, what happens if he still doesn't want to read the letter? Then you can put an end to the existence of the Uchiha clan. Naruto disappeared, leaving Obito full of questions and fear. Approaching Danzo's hideout, Naruto felt like he was surrounded by Anbu root. He sat down on one knee, put his sword and equipment on the grass, and at the same moment his hands were tied and led inside the shelter. I didn't think you were stupid enough, Naruto-san, to come here yourself. Danzo slowly approached Naruto and lifted him by the chin. And now all your power is mine. Danzo took off his blindfold and was horrified to find that the eye sockets were empty. Did you really think I was stupid enough to come with them? But, I offer a deal. Danzo looked questioningly at Naruto, and after looking at him asked, what kind of deal? It's not a deal, but a dispute. If you defeat me, then this. Naruto opened a jar with eyes, which forced all those who were here to arm themselves. They will belong to you, and if I win, then the root is mine from now on. Danzo stood and thought for a minute, and his subordinates were ready to kill the prince at the first call, and take the contents from his hands. At the same time, we'll find out if you still have at least a drop of honor left by the second. First one question. Why do you need a root? Konoha has sheltered me, representatives of my clan, and besides them I have found many acquaintances here, and it will be difficult for me to protect them alone, and even more so the village, and if I am not mistaken, then your organization is focused on protecting the village, both from the outside and from the inside. A worthy answer. Follow me, and return him his weapon. When Naruto was released, he blindfolded back, and taking his equipment, went after Danzo. Here we will fight, the walls and ceiling will not collapse, so you cannot worry, and restrain yourself. Great, because I already thought I'd have to tear everything down here. Naruto dispersed the chakra of nature through his body, and when he had spider eyes, he abruptly took out his katana, and in the blink of an eye, being next to Shimura, made him a deep wound on his chest. He barely managed to dodge, and charging kunai with the wind chakra, created several clones that began to surround Uzumaki. Naruto swung his sword in front of him, thereby destroying the clone, and two paws appeared on his shoulder blades, which pierced two more, but they all turned out to be clones. Naruto raised his head, and saw two more who rushed at him, and began to deliver a series of blows. At one point, Naruto sat down on one knee, and Danzo took advantage of this, together with the clone, put together a series of seals, and directed a mixture of fire and wind techniques at Naruto. He had already thought that he had killed Uzumaki, but all his hopes were destroyed when he said, "Not a bad attempt, Danzo." When the smoke cleared, Shimura saw that Uzumaki's body was enveloped in a golden glow, and the chakras emanated from him as from Biju, and he himself was holding a black rod in his hand, which apparently absorbed the technique. But now it's my turn, and now this place will be your grave. Naruto said the last few words not in his own voice, thereby scaring his opponent to tremble, and he already realized that he would never leave here alive. Obito was sitting on his couch, looking at his watch, then at the pendant, hoping with all his heart that he would not fade away, and when the alarm clock rang, it was as if a stone had fallen from his heart. Then he picked up the envelope, and felt a huge temptation to open it, but since his sensei did not allow it, he did not dare. Well done, I praise you for your patience. From around the corner, Uchiha heard the teacher's voice, and seeing a smile on his face, Obito ran up to him and hugged him hard. Sensei. I thought that with you. Naruto sat down on one knee in front of him, and wiped his tears, and Obito saw that the bandage no longer covered Naruto's eyes. Hey, don't cry, I'm fine, and from now on everything will be the same, and this. Naruto picked up the letter, after which he lit up. Okay, you're probably tired, so I'll go. Naruto turned around, and when he was about to teleport, Obito called out to him, and your pendant? Keep it for yourself, and if you need my help, spend a chakra on it, and I will immediately appear. Sensei, can I ask you a question? Ask me, will you teach me how to use Sharingan correctly? Obito didn't hear a word from his teacher for a few seconds until he looked at him over his shoulder and showed him his Sharingan, but the next second his eye found a different pattern, and he said it himself, all in good time, my friend, and then he disappeared, leaving a smile on the student's face. Mikoto was sitting in her room, quietly humming a song to herself, combing her hair. Mikoto-sama, the food is prepared for Kushina-san. After passing on the information, the maid also quietly left. Mikoto sat in perplexity, and thought, why is everyone making such a fuss? The great and truly legendary Mangekyo Sharingan at Uzumaki, some kind of nonsense, but even her father was very worried, and when she left the house, all the respected people in the clan met her and escorted her as if she was going on a suicide mission. And 3 Jonins were also attached to her for protection. Kushina, I came, Mikoto said when she opened the gate, but instead of the promised girlfriend, Naruto met her, and Mikoto, I was just waiting for you, come in. 3 Uchiha stood in front of Mikoto, and Naruto activated his eyes and created Susanoo. 2 of them started attacking Uzumaki, and the third took Mikoto and wanted to run away, but he was stopped by a huge arrow that pierced the ground right in front of him. They both turned around, and saw how the 2 who were supposed to protect them were already lying on the ground in an unconscious state. You were sent to find out where I got them from, right? If I'm right, Miss Mikoto, come with me, and you get your guys in order. Why are you trembling? I promise, not a single hair will fall from your head. Sitting across from Uzumaki in the living room, Mikoto watched him make tea for them. When he brought them, he asked the question again. You're wondering where I got them from, aren't you? Mikoto nodded uncertainly. Okay, these are your son's eyes. After Mikoto left the house, accompanied by representatives of the Uchiha clan, Mito approached Naruto. Why did you tell her everything? And if she tells others, she won't tell, but even if she does, it's a plus for me. Maybe you can enlighten me in your insidious plan. Not yet, I mean only a few scenarios, and they are win-win in most cases, but to make sure completely, send Kushina to her, let her unwind, and at the same time scout out what's going on there. And what are you going to do? I will think about the next plan of action, and also, I need something from you. Yes, and what? Since Danzo is now in the grave, someone has to take care of his affairs. Don't tell me you want to put me in his place. That's exactly what I want to do, Naruto said, looking into the girl's eyes. Seeing how she frowned, Uzumaki approached her, and lifting her face, looking into her eyes, said, it's for our common good. If you want, you can refuse, I'm not holding you. Where am I going to go? I didn't doubt you. Well, okay, we'll get to it later, but while I'm out for a walk, yesterday was a hard day. When Naruto came to the training ground, he sat on a branch of his tree and looked into the distance until his peace was disturbed by the guests. They turned out to be Jiraiya and Minato-sensei. You said that you would teach me the summoning technique. Minato gave out, noticing how Sanin sat on the top of the tallest tree, and took out binoculars. Yes, he gave out in response, putting away the binoculars with grief. In general, I'll teach you how to summon toads. Look, Jiraiya bit his finger, after which he collected several seals and touched the ground. Suddenly a huge toad appeared under him. Hello Gamabunta, he said to the toad. Wow. Unbelievable, Minato said, with surprised eyes. Jiraiya, why did you summon me? Decided to show off again? No, I just decided to show my student the summoning technique. The toad looked at Minato, then took the sword on his belt, stuck it in the ground, but Minato did not give up, and you have a strong spirit. As I see, this is because I am being taught by Jiraiya-sensei, and it is also an honor for me to be acquainted with you. Well, the rules of politeness do not occupy you. In that case, I'll try. Minato began to quickly collect the seals, not forgetting to bite his finger before that. Minato, wait, it's... Jiraiya didn't have time to warn, because Minato disappeared, but the strangest thing is that Naruto went with him. Naruto, to his surprise, appeared behind the column, which he was glad of. Hiding, he saw that Minato was in a room familiar to Naruto, in which a huge toad with a headdress was sitting. 2 small frogs were standing near him. One had gray hair, and the other purple. A man? It's been a long time since people have been in our area, the gray-haired frog gave out. I'm sorry to bother you, my name is Minato Namikaze. Minato got down on one knee in front of the frogs, lowering his head. At that moment, Jiraiya appeared in the room. Good afternoon Fukasaku-sama, Shima-sama, and the same to you, Mr. Genma, Jiraiya said with a kind smile. Jiraiya, do you know him? Fukasaku asked. Yes, this is my student Minato, he accidentally got here, I forgot to warn him about the consequences of the summoning technique. I see, Genma said, looking at Minato. My boy, you will become a great warrior who will become famous all over the world. Said the toad, looking at Minato. Am I going to be great? Yes, but your future is changing the rails, at least you will already live a considerable life, thanks to someone. Someone? Long time no see Naruto-kun, Genma gave out this time, and Uzumaki, realizing that his conspiracy was revealed, came out from behind the column. Naruto-san? Jiraiya and Minato said at the same time. Naruto ignored them, got down on one knee, and said, Hello Mr. Genma, Grandma Shima, Grandpa Fukasaku, do we know each other? Shima asked, looking at Naruto. Yes and no, Genma answered for him. I'm surprised you remember me, Genma-sama. How can I not remember the one who fought with Pain and Madara? Why did you fight Madara? Minato asked in surprise. Yes, there was a case at the time. Since that moment, you have changed a lot, Naruto. The owner of the powers of the eyes that you wear has greatly influenced you, he has changed your worldview, and although your goal has not changed, but the methods have become much tougher, although, given what you have experienced, this is not surprising. Yes, I apologize for not meeting your expectations, Naruto said, lowering his head guiltily. What are you, my boy, you just fully justified my hopes. You were able to change the world for the better. That's just what kind of sacrifices I managed to do it. Don't worry, son. Oh yes, why did I call you? The ball in front of Genma split, and one flew up to Naruto. So, that is, you called me? Naruto asked while the balloon was flying up to him. Of course. What's the reason? The fact is that you are now standing at the fork in your fate, and soon your decision may change the further events of the whole world. Only there are several of these outcomes, in some the whole world is waiting for grief, and in some prosperity awaits, and it all depends on you. Again, yes, my son, and this artifact will help you choose the path. But trusting such an artifact to a human? Fukasaku said, but Genma interrupted him. Please Fukasaku, give it to him. The frog fell silent, and jumping towards Naruto, gave him a scroll. Here are the instructions for manipulating it, please use it wisely. Well, son, good luck, and may the force come with you. Naruto immediately disappeared with the ball, after which Shima asked. Who is he? Naruto Uzumaki, the greatest and most powerful man alive today. The man who defeated Madara when he was at the peak of his abilities, but constantly remained in the shadows. He saved this world more than once while we were sleeping peacefully, and did not suspect anything, but fate mocked this man very much, and now everything is in his hands. I still can't believe that Mr. Naruto fought Madara, and even defeated him. But why wasn't it recorded in history? And this, already find out from him appearing again in the clearing. Naruto immediately opened the scroll and began to read the instructions. Everything was simple and clear. There was just one moment. The blood of someone with whom would you like to see your future? Kurama didn't understand. Most likely, the blood of the second half. So, now this is interesting. Well, who is this unfortunate woman who will fall under your choice? You should tear off your tongue. In fact, there is a lot of choice, that's just, there is no cushion as I feel at the moment in Konoha. Hanari is at home, and it is dangerous to approach her, since she is constantly under surveillance. There is only, come on, exactly, well, not, lying on her side, curled up on her bed. Mikoto was looking out the window, and the last thing she could imagine was that someone's hand would fall on her shoulder. Almost screaming, and not jumping up, Uchiha turned around, and saw Naruto, with a serious look. I'm sorry if I scared you, I need something from you. What? A drop of your blood, just a little bit. Why do you need it? I need it, I just need it. Appearing in his room, Naruto put the ball in the center of the room, and dripped Makoto's blood on the ball, after which he folded several seals, touched the ball, and then felt a sharp pain all over his body. Damn, Naruto. At the last moment, Naruto managed to hear Kurama's voice, before falling into darkness. But then, at the end of that darkness, Naruto saw a light that was approaching him. When the light completely enveloped him, Naruto found himself in a room. His body was transparent, and he himself could not utter a word. At one point, a copy of Hinata, who was wearing only a light robe, came into the room. She began to approach the bed where the guy was lying, who looked very much like Naruto of 15 or 16 years old, except that the structure of his chakra was completely different. "Honey, good morning," Hyuga said softly with a smile, laying down next to the guy. She gently touched his cheek, causing him to slowly open his eyes. "Leave me alone," he said in response, turning over on the other side. "Well, Naruto, can we fool around?" the girl suggested, to which the blonde smiled, and Naruto, who was watching them at that moment, twitched his eye. The blonde under Hyuga gently ran his hands under her robe, and grabbing the girl by the thigh, held the zipper on her. Then he squeezed her wrists, and said harshly, "How many times do I tell you, don't you dare wake me up on my day off?" The girl grinned at this, and snapping her finger, said, "Oh, bad boy, I think you should be punished." A portal appeared behind the guy above the bed, from which a girl with white eyes, long white hair, pale skin, and rabbit ears crawled out half. She grabbed the guy from behind so that he could not resist, and looking at this, Naruto thought of one thing: is that Kaguya? Meanwhile, Hinata carefully brought her face close to the guy's face, after which she kissed him and said, "So soft lips, and so cute eyes." At this time, the girl slowly lowered her hand to his groin. "You wouldn't dare." I dare, I dare." After freeing him from his underwear, she grabbed the base of his pride, and said, "No matter how many times I look at it, I am always surprised by its huge size. This is my legacy from my father, and now I've let it go quickly." Well, I've just started." "Well, okay," she asked for it. Suku, the girl who was holding him from behind, immediately tied his eyes, and put a seal on them. Hush, be a good boy, and don't twitch." Hinata lowered her head to his groin, and took his pride in her mouth, which made the guy groan. Naruto, who was watching all this at that time, wanted to kill himself with his head against the wall, but it didn't work out, because he was passing through the wall, and it was also concluded that no one sees or hears him. After going into the bathroom, Uzumaki covered his ears so as not to hear it, but he heard everything that the guy heard, especially some sounds. Suddenly he heard a groan, either from pain or from pleasure, but when he came out of the bathroom, he immediately regretted it, because Hinata was smiling sweetly at him while something white was flowing down her lips. She pulled the other girl into a kiss, then removed the blindfold from the guy's eyes. "The creature," he said, looking at her. "You're the strangest person I've ever seen. It seems that normal men should be grateful for this, so I'm not normal, and now get off me." "Wait, I enjoyed it myself, but I'm in the gap." "No, it doesn't count that way." Hinata opened her robe, exposing her beautiful body to the guy. "Big truth," she said, squeezing her breasts and pulling on the nipple. "Somehow I'm sure that demons in hell are less sadistic than you." The girl did not appreciate the joke, but only spread her legs, carefully sat on him, hissing a little. "Every time, like the first time," she said when she sat down to the end. Then she began to rise and fall slowly. A moan escaped her lips, which was immediately absorbed by a kiss from another. "The sooner we start, the sooner we'll finish." The guy raised his head slightly, and grabbed the chest with his lips, which was hanging right in front of his eyes. When he gently bit the nipple, the girl moaned a lot, and the guy felt it being squeezed. Having withstood the pressure, he broke out of the grip, and knocking the girl down in front of him, began to move faster, after which, after a few minutes, he planted his seat inside her, which made the girl scream again. Getting out of bed, Naruto took a towel, and said, "I'm in the shower, make me breakfast." "Of course, ah." The brunette moaned when the tongue of another girl touched her womb. Naruto, who at that time finished watching free porn, leaning against the wall, slowly slid to the floor, but only at one moment he heard the sound of lightning, and a voice. Damn Zetsu, are you tired of living? Quickly going into the bathroom, Naruto saw a dialogue of a black and white creature with a guy. No, it's just nice to see your face after that. Do you know that your mother, I wouldn't call her that, but yes, I know, and you, as I notice, are starting to get used to it. Yes, there is such a little. By the way, what did you come for? I can't just come and talk to a person, well, not in the bathroom, right? And as for me, the bath is the safest place. In the bedroom, your mother may notice, and in other places your brothers. By the way, what's on the news? Is there anything interesting? The guy asked, standing under the shower, and washing off the foam from the body. No, not really, or at least I'm not looking well. In that case, the guy did not have time to say, as he heard a voice. Naruto, are you in the bathroom? Damn, it's mom. Hide. When Zetsu disappeared back, the guy came out of the bathroom wearing only a towel tied at the waist. At that moment, a brunette entered the room, with a whirlpool symbol on her back, in which Naruto recognized Mikoto. Mom, how many times have I asked you not to enter my room while I'm in the bathroom? The guy pouted, making a disgruntled face. Come on, Naruto, I'm your mom, I just haven't seen anything there. That's what I'm not happy with, the guy muttered to himself, but immediately stopped abruptly when Mikoto looked at him with a sweet smile and asked, what did you say? Nothing. But you can go out, I want to get dressed. You can do it in front of me. Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. Yes, a joke, I'm coming out now. When the girl did it, Naruto asked while changing clothes, and why did you come, Mom? Something happened? Does something have to happen so that I can see my son? Yes, no, to tell you the truth, I came to clean up. Bitch from below, so she's doing great, the guy muttered to himself again. What did you say? I didn't hear that. And it seemed to you. After leaving, the guy wanted to go down the stairs, but Mikoto stopped him, straightening his shirt. Well, Mom, don't be my mom here, Mikoto said after finishing her business. When the guy came down, he saw Hinata, who was cooking something in a frying pan, and whistling at the same time. Hey, who am I cooking this for? Hinata asked, putting her hands on her belt, watching how the guy just took one sandwich, went out, said before that, you'll have breakfast with your mom, and I'll go to the Uchiha. At that moment, Zetsu appeared in front of Naruto, who looked at Hinata and said, you have the strangest relationship I've ever seen, don't let our relationship concern you. Looking at all this, Naruto involuntarily smiled, but suddenly he abruptly found himself next to the guy. He passed near houses that were built according to the same design. Then he looked up, after which Naruto did it. And then he saw the whirlpool symbol, and under it the inscription Uzumaki clan territory. Suddenly the guy accelerated, and Naruto went after him, but then the guy slowed down and started walking at a normal pace. He was passing by houses, and at one point he came to the gate, on which the coat of arms of the Uchiha clan was depicted. After passing through them, the guy smiled at people and greeted them, while they did the same with a sincere smile. Then he walked up to a large building where a guy and a girl were standing at the entrance, who immediately said at the sight of him, good morning Mr. Naruto. Wow, Sato, Miko, what did you have to do to be forced to guard this object? With a share of mockery and fun in his voice, the guy asked his peers. Because this jerk blew the bandit, and he ran away, because of which we failed the mission. And as punishment we were forced to stand here for a whole week without changing posts, the girl answered, having put on the head of the partner standing next to her. Oh, my God, well, good luck guys, I'm sure this week will be unforgettable for you. The guy went inside the building, and went into the room to his right. Naruto followed him, and saw the guy take off his clothes, and put on a kimono with the coat of arms of the Uchiha clan on the back, and then picks up the Bakken. If anything, it's a wooden katana. Taking the weapon, he went into a large hall, where a brunette with a rather big bust was sitting at the far wall, near which there was also a Bakken. Good morning senpai, how are you? The guy asked, standing in front of her. As usual, Uzumaki routine, and you're a little late today, are you really late with Hyuga? There are a few of them, and I swear, someday I will strangle her with a pillow, the guy said, after which he made a sharp leap forward, and tried to hit his opponent, but she calmly stopped the attack. It's better not. I don't need a conflict to arise in Konoha. Suddenly, a Sharingan lit up in the girl's eyes, with 3 volumes, after which she knocked the guy down with several attacks, and, standing in a stance, held the weapon in front of his face. Too weak, she said, and heard a voice behind her. I don't think so. The guy lying on the ground disappeared, and the girl put away the weapon, saying, and your eyes have become stronger. Suddenly the girl in front of the guy also began to disappear. And then he heard the voice again, but not strong enough to detect my genjutsu. The girl hit him several times, causing him to kneel, and then standing in front of him, said, firstly, you put too much force into the handle, which makes your attacks become more clumsy. Secondly, you look only at the sword and do not notice the rest of the enemy's movements. Thirdly, the girl lowered the weapon to his groin. You're too excited. Come to me when you relieve stress. The girl turned around and was heading to her seat when she suddenly found herself pressed against the wall. Maybe you can help me relieve stress, the guy asked, slowly with his lips, her lips. Please, let's not do it here. Naruto, who was watching all this at that moment, thought, what's porn again? The situation has been resolved. Cough cough. The guys heard, and saw a man with a stern face, behind them. Am I interrupting you? Uncle Fugaku, it's not what you think. The guy began to justify himself. Yes, as I understand it, you're playing shogi here. Okay, I'll pretend like I didn't see anything. Phew. Naruto, can I talk to you? Of course. After leaving the building, Fugaku asked. Naruto, have you thought about my offer? Yes, Uncle Fugaku, the guy with a serious face answered, and this dialogue was very much interested in Naruto walking with them. And what will be your answer? I admit, the offer is very interesting, but I will have to refuse. I want to add that I talked to your father, and he absolutely does not mind. I know he warned me, but, you know, this is a matter of honor, no matter how much I love the Uchiha clan, but, I'm Uzumaki, and period, I won't change my last name. You should have more of these in our clan. Won't Ina be able to handle it? You see, Ina is a great warrior, a loyal person, an ideal tactician with cold thinking, but she is not a leader. She is not as much loved by the Uchiha as you are. Uzumaki from the elder's daughter love more than the heiress of the head of the Uchiha clan. What a strange world we live in. Why don't you talk to Itachi? He is, as it were, in a relationship with Ina. Yes, and he has a Sharingan. Yes, but according to the rules of our traditions, only those who have the blood of the Uchiha clan can become its head. Maybe it's worth going beyond these traditions, and maybe then everything will settle down. Fugaku stopped abruptly, and grabbing Naruto by the hand, turned him in his direction, and then looking at him with a serious face, said, Naruto, no Uchiha over the past centuries has contributed to the development of the clan as much as you. Technologies, new ways of fighting, tactics, the introduction of new laws, new poisons, techniques, rules for the proper development of Sharingan, all this appeared in us exclusively thanks to you. Not really. When you were young, the Uchiha clan gave my mother to my father as a wife, on the condition that my clan would eventually share with its breakthroughs, and believe me, if I could, then now the Uchiha clan would look like Uzushio. I know. But still, Naruto, if you change your mind, I won't change my mind. I'm sorry, Naruto replied with a comforting face. It was necessary to act like Huey. We give you our representative with the condition that the common descendant will be at least an elder. And that's it. Yes, I always told my father that the elders of the last generation were rare idiots. From these words, both laughed, and then there were conversations on everyday topics. Until at one point a guy in a special ANBU uniform and a mask with a whirlpool symbol on his forehead landed in front of him. Brother? Something happened? No, it's just that the 5th sends you along with the team to Uzushio to transmit the answer. In principle, it is not surprising that Minato agreed, given his relationship with your father. By the way, hello Itachi. And the same to you Fugaku-san. Itachi, I'm sorry, just calling you father does not allow subordination. Okay, I'm off. We'll meet in Uzushio. Naruto. What about our personnel? if we have to force the elite captain Anbu Uzushio to pass information to the Jonants? Well, I don't know, you'll ask the fifth one. Okay, I'll go. If Itachi gave the information to me personally, then it means Menma and Sasuke are in the ass again somewhere. Yeah, good luck walking next to the guy. Naruto processed the information received. He pondered every word uttered by Fugaku, but suddenly, the guy stopped abruptly, which distracted Naruto himself. Suddenly looking at the ground, he saw a copy of Sasuke, who was lying naked under a sheet, along with a beautiful brunette who was also naked. Suddenly the guy said, which made the brunettes immediately jump up from their seats. Sarah, aren't you ashamed? It seems like the deputy head of the Konoha police, and the heiress of a great clan, is naked in an embrace with a guy in the forest. The guy said with a grin. Naruto, your mother, get out of sight, the girl ordered, to which the guy just grinned. And what will happen to me if I don't do it? And what are you, a young man? Are you lost? Angry, the brunette said, Uchiha, get out of here. The brunette folded several seals, and a huge tree dragon burst out of the ground, from which the guy easily dodged, and then landing on another branch, said, firstly, I'm not Uchiha, but Uzumaki. Secondly, Sarah, Uncle Fugaku was looking for you. And what time is it now? Noon. What? My father will kill me. So Naruto disappear, I have to change my clothes. Oh, come on, we're brother and sister, even though we're cousins. Uzumaki, okay. When the girl, quickly dressed, and kissed the brunette goodbye left, the guy came down from the branch, and the brunette said, and so everything started well, and then it will be even worse. Get up, come on, we need to go to Uzushio. In Uzushio, why? The brunette asked, putting on clothes. It is necessary to transmit information about the participants of the Chunin exam. What? Tonari still gave the green light to this. The green light was given not so much by Tonari as by his father, but in principle yes, this will in fact be the first exam for Chunin in Uzushio. I wonder what the faces of representatives of other countries will be like when they see Uzushio. We'll wait and see. Okay, you get dressed for now, and get ready, and I'll go find Menma. Naruto and the guy walked up to a huge mansion, which was located in the center of the village. The guy knocked several times on the door, and it was opened by a blonde. Good morning to the Hokage house, how are you, Aunt Naya? Believe me, it's great, as I understand it, you're behind the Menma, right? Yeah, is he upstairs? Yes, the last door on the right, thanks. After following the indicated route, the guy knocked on the door, and opening it, he saw his twin together with a blonde with two pigtails. The only difference between them was the hair. Menma's eyes were dark, and Naruto's were blonde. Oh yes, and the eye color was different. Brother, has something happened? The brunette asked with a respectful tone. We have a mission, the blonde man answered, and looked closely at the couple. The brunette was holding a plate of soup in his hands, and the girl's hand was in a cast. Hi Naruto, he said to the blonde, and she waved her other hand as an answer. Okay, I'll be right there. Menma put the bowl on the table, and got up from his seat, smiling, said, I'm sorry, honey, but I have to go. Well, damn, I promise, I will train you after returning. When the brothers started to leave, the blonde heard a rustle in Naya's room, and quietly approached the room, saw how she was freeing her hand from the cast. The girl noticed him, and therefore said, you didn't see anything. Half an hour later, all the brothers were in the Hokage's office, where a masked man was waiting for them. Looking at them menacingly, he said, you're late, sorry Kakashi-sensei, I had to find them myself and warn them. Calm down Kakashi, it's only been 5 minutes, Minato said, sitting on the Hokage's chair. By the way, good afternoon Fifth, all the brothers said in unison. Thank you, and the same to you. In general, Minato took out a folder, and continued, you have to go to Uzushio and hand over these documents, it's not for me to show you the way. Okay. Okay, you're free. Why don't we just use the Thunder God's flight? Sasuke asked when they had already left Konoha. We additionally patrol the area. Kakashi replied, after the appearance of my brother in the village, crime in the country of fire decreased to 2%, I don't think it makes any sense. Still, who knows, maybe we will just stumble upon these 2%. After a couple of days on the way, the team came to their destination, but at one point they were stopped. An ANBU team appeared in front of them, led by a man in a white mask with circles. He was in a special form, and behind his back was fixed the legendary weapon, gun by Uchiha Madara. Although the man looked very mysterious, all four of Konoha knew perfectly well who he was. "You can give the documents to me, then I will give it to Uzukage, and we were ordered to hand it over personally to Uzukage," Kakashi said with dislike in his voice. "As you wish," the man replied, turning around. "All the same, you have to follow me, otherwise." All the members of the ANBU immediately grabbed the handles of their tanto, but they were in no hurry to draw them. "Even the Uzukage brothers won't be given any indulgences?" Sasuke asked, in his voice that asked, "Are you serious?" "Unfortunately, the rules were not created by me, and not by Uzukage, but by your father, and now please come through." "And you're still licking the fifth point, their father, as I see." "Kakashi, I don't want a political conflict," the man said, but then abruptly found himself next to Kakashi. Susanoo's ribs began to appear around the man, and then the hand that grabbed Kakashi. Hatake tried to get out, but portals appeared on both sides of him, which began to suck him in, tearing him in place. "But it's hard for me to tear you to pieces." Uncle Obito, please calm down. "I don't think his brother or father will be happy about his death." Menma tried to calm the man down. He stopped, and releasing Kakashi, said, "Okay, but still, for non-compliance with the rules, you will be punished very severely." When they passed through the gates of the village, the barrier hiding the village fell down, and a huge, just a huge metropolis appeared before the eyes of the guys. There were stands everywhere, advertisements, everything happened quickly. Everyone had innovative technologies at home, and mobile phones on their hands. Everything seems to be perfect, but the best thing is the huge islands above the village, where houses were built, but not for the population, but for members of the Uzukage family and his entourage, and that's where they were going. But first they had to go to the Uzukage residence. After entering the residence, the team saw a huge number of people at computers. Everyone was immersed in work, and everyone was fussing. They all understood perfectly well that it was very difficult to get here even as an ordinary cleaner. At one point they saw the person who was responsible for all this. "Let's hurry up, more guests will come soon." "They've already arrived," Obito suddenly said, raising his hand, thereby attracting the man's attention. This was a girl with a short haircut and blue hair, which was secured with a hairpin in the shape of an origami flower. "Oh, good evening to the Konakovs," she said. "Okay, Conan, I trust them to you, although considering who they are, I can trust them with you." "Damn Uchiha, if you have nothing to do, then it's better to go to your Noharu, and don't get caught in my eyes." At that moment, a handsome guy with red hair was passing by. "Oh, hi Nagato," Obito called out to him. "Hi Obito, oh guys, and you are here as you can see." "Listen Nagato, when was the last time you fucked her?" Obito asked, bending down and covering his face so that he could not be heard. "She's a little nervous today." "Oh, you piece of shit, I'm going to drop you now." The girl chased after Uchiha, and Nagato, who was watching everything, said, "They still consider you children." "Well, no one forbids them to do that," Menma said, leading the others. When they entered Uzukage's office, they saw a guy about 15 years old, with white hair, light blue eyes that shone, and pale skin. He was wearing a purple-colored raincoat with the first Uzukage Uzushio written on the back. "Hi guys," he said, getting up from his seat. "Hello to you, too, brother," all three of them said, looking at the futuristic office. "Good evening, Mr. Uzukage. We have brought information about the students on the Chunin exam." "Okay, please put it on the table, and then you can be free." Tonari came up to the table, and pressing the button in the phone, said, "Karen, please show Mr. Kakashi his place of residence for the next couple of days." "Of course Uzukage-sama." "Well, you guys know where to go." "Yeah, thanks." When the three brothers went outside, they heard a child's voice familiar to them. "Well, Uncle Kabuto, well, you promised." Approaching the source of the sound, the brothers found a boy of about 12 with a Usushio protector. He was a copy of the fourth Hokage, except he had golden fox ears and a tail behind his back. The boy immediately found the brothers, was delighted, and going up to them, hugged each, then pulling Sasuke, said, "Brother, Uncle Kabuto promised me that we would open the body today, but now he says he's tired, tell him," the boy was saying, pointing to a guy with ash-colored hair and glasses, who was waving his hands guiltily in front of him. Sasuke only took out a scroll with a mysterious smile, and showed it to the boy, saying, "What about this Minato?" The blonde's eyes immediately lit up with happiness, and looking at Sasuke, he asked, "Is that what I think it is?" "Yes, and he's still alive, really?" "Let's go, let's go, let's go," and stop." The boy suddenly stopped, and looking at Sasuke, asked, "Aren't you tired?" "You know, when it comes to copies of this type, I'm always awake." "Then why are we standing? Go, go, go. I don't think you'll see him until morning," Kabuto said, approaching the remaining two brothers. "Yes, and considering how much energy Minato has, Sasuke just saved me, how much I suffered with Minato, how many promises I gave him, damn, I can't count." "Okay, you're definitely tired, go, and I need to do something." "Yeah, good luck to Kabuto." Entering the huge building on the Heavenly Island, the first thing the brothers saw were the servants. "Welcome home, Mr. Menma, Mr. Naruto. Please give us your things." When their raincoats and shoes were removed, the brothers went to the elevator, and pressing the 38th floor, they went ahead and entered a huge living room. In the center was a large table, near which several maids were standing, and two people were sitting. One was wearing a special form of Jonan's fog. He was wearing a mask and reading a book. He looked to be about 18 years old, although he was a little older, and he only said to the brothers who entered, "Hi, hello to you, too, Kira," Naruto said, sitting down near the table and looking at the food on it. Opposite Naruto sat a guy with white hair, red eyes, and in the form of Captain Anbu Stone. "How's Lu doing?" Menma asked, putting a piece of meat in his mouth. How? Boring. I guard Sachikage, I get pendles from my mother, I do my father's tasks, in general, as usual." "Did anyone else come besides us?" "Gaara is upstairs with Cory. They didn't even touch the food." "Okay, I don't really want to eat either, I'm off," Naruto said, walking into the elevator. By clicking on the button of the floor where his brother from Suna was, Naruto went into the corridor, and finding the right room, he entered it, but apart from the darkness, and his brother standing at the window, he saw no one. Although it was dark, he could see his red head and red clothes. Approaching him, and asking, "How's Gaara doing?" as an answer, he received only a nod in the direction of the hotel located on Earth. Naruto touched the window, and an interface appeared on it. Finding the magnification of the image, the half-breed increased it to the maximum, and saw a blonde with a guy in some form, and dolls. "I see, the dog, but, okay, I won't bother you." After leaving the room, Naruto went out, and with him came the ghost of his father, who had been with him all this time. After going through several rooms, he went into one of them, in which a guy in a Kumo uniform was lying. He had exactly the same hair as Nagato, and he himself slept like a bear, but as soon as Naruto took one step, the guy immediately jumped up and armed himself. "And this is Naruto." "Hello." Yawning, the guy lay down on the bed again, and closing his eyes, said, "I would talk to you, but before coming here, Mom made me patrol almost the entire territory of the country of lightning, and then snoring." "I see," the blonde man said, and went out. At that moment, he was called out, and when he turned around, Naruto, who was standing next to him at that moment, almost popped his eyes out of his head. "Son, come on, we need to talk," said a guy about 16 years old, with white blonde hair. Of course, the boy answered, and went with his father to the back room. Naruto on the way caught the eye of a man who clearly wanted to talk to him rather than his son, so Uzumaki was not surprised when the man walked forward, and slightly turning his head, said, "Tsukuyami." Naruto Jr. almost fell, because his father managed to pick him up, and taking him in his arms, he was heading to the bed, speaking along the way, "I know you have more than a lot of questions, but I don't think I can answer them all, considering that your time here is coming to an end." Naruto looked at his hands, and was really convinced of this, as his body slowly began to become transparent. In general, let me answer the questions briefly. 25 years have passed since my appearance in this world, and as you can see, I am living well so far. Why haven't I changed in practice during this time? Yes, because Kurama's chakra has changed after some task, and believe me, it will not be easy to control it, given what abilities he gained after that, and this is just a small bonus. What's Kagaya doing here? Well, you should guess it yourself, but as you understand, she is not going to be at enmity with us yet. Why? Because she has no power, almost, up to a certain point. Also, you should understand that all those whom you saw in this building, except the servants, are my descendants, namely children, and if you want to know why they are only male, then it's to Tsunade. She will explain everything to you in detail, and I don't have time for that. And finally, why does my firstborn look like Tonari? The dick knows it, you already ask nature along with science. Why did I call him that? But there were no special options for his appearance, and now, the man took a bottle of wine with a glass from the closet by the bed, and poured it on it, raised it over his head, and said, "Let me drink to my achievements, and let them not be the last, but to you I wish to achieve the same. Good luck Naruto Uzumaki." At that moment, Naruto felt how much his head was spinning, and he himself was falling into darkness. The ground disappeared under his feet, and he himself began to fall into the void, but suddenly falling on a hard surface, he opened his eyes, and the first person he saw was Mito, behind whom stood Kushina. "Naruto, how are you?" "What is it?" she asked, holding a glass of water to his mouth. Naruto immediately grabbed the glass, emptied it, and with a cheerful face said, "Now I know what to do. That's the end of the guys."